I believe we're live here in the Daverhood. We're waving, we're potatoing in all sorts of ways. This is going to be a very beautiful episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook program of the stream because let's save it for when we start. Let's not give it away yet. But something really,
just let them see the back of it.
Tremendously exciting. Here, I'm going to show you the back of the bottle. Yes. Anyway, come join us. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your foes.
Frenemies.
Definitely your enemies and your frenemies. It's Dave's Gone By. Let's make sure that we're public, we're live, and we're going to, we're going to start our intro music as we always do in just this way.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight.
Ooh, we have exciting stuff today on the Dave's Gone By Facebook program of the stream. We are here live on this last Saturday of September 29th, 2018, with the 668th episode of the show. I'm not even going to tell you what it's called yet because I'm just so excited. So let's ease into it. It's going to be an incredible show, my friends. First of all, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. Over there, these are all the potatoes who are just thrilled and excited and bouncing up and down, full of joy. And even to the littlest ones among them.
Oh.
Now, there's a lot of reasons to
we don't have the baby crying one.
Oh, no. Oh.
Wait.
Is that one?
No.
Oh, maybe it died.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Show the little potato again.
Here's the little potato. That's potato. And then, of course, they grow up a little bit, and they're, he's still got the Band-Aid on.
Yeah.
Poor fella. He's slow to heal. This is... I like the symmetry of this shot, actually. But then we have Papito, so he's a slightly bigger potato. And then, of course, they grow into the full-blooded, full-fleshed potato like our Grand Knish here. Here he is. So they're very excited. And I'm very excited. Now, there's tons of reasons to be excited for this episode of the Dave's Gone By show. First of all, we have a guest. We haven't had a guest in a couple of weeks here, but we do have a guest, and it's kind of cool because this is a fella, he's a musician. He plays a lot of different instruments, notably the trombone. I think he might be our very first trombonist here.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're boning up on this program, if you know what I'm saying, but that's not what we're really going to talk to him about. His name is Vincent James. And
is he related to Harry James?
I doubt it. I didn't ask him. I never thought of that. No. But Vincent James does do stuff besides make music. He cares about music, and he started a nonprofit a couple of years ago to make sure that kids got more involved in music. So there's this organization called Keep Music Alive, and then this coming Friday, I believe it's October 5th or something like that, is going to be Kids Music Day. So all over the country, in like 40 different states, there's going to be all these events. Everything from, bringing kids into a room where they can play all sorts of instruments and decide which one they might want to take. They're encouraging music teachers to give one free half-hour lesson to a kid.
Whoa.
To get them hooked, to get them addicted to music.
That, yeah.
And to just get music appreciation out there, because you know, school budget. Schools are cutting things, and the first thing that goes is the arts, right? So this is a reminder also to educators how important music, and how useful music can be.
It should be called What Would Tommy Tune Do?
Yeah, exactly. And well, he'd probably play a tune on his trombone.
Yeah.
So Vincent James, he will be with us in the Daverhood, not talking to me, though. You know who he's talking to.
Potato?
No, even better, the great Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. So if you want to hear Rabbi Saul again, he's been gone the last couple of weeks. He will be back. He hasn't been with us since Purim, maybe, or some holiday, the high holidays or something. Anyway, he'll be talking to Vincent James later in the program about music. Going to be really cool. That's the reason. Are you excited about that, Potato?
Show them your shirt, honey.
Oh, he's a little upset.
You could lower the...
Yeah, lower the volume of my shirt.
No, lower the thing so they could see it tilted in.
Oh, well, I can also go like, ooh, ooh. Pretty neat, huh?
I love it.
Pretty impressive. And by the way, welcome, good morning to Stan, who asks the Mr. Rogersian question, who are the people in your neighborhood? And Stan asks if I'm a Knish eater. Not of this one. I'm a Knish lover. And by the way, Drew, welcome to Drew. Also,
is it Dr. Drew?
I don't know if he's a doctor. Not the Dr. Drew, certainly, but he's a different kind of a Drew.
He is Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
Can we call him Dr. Drew?
Well, I hope he's drawn into the program because we drew him in. Get it? Comedy?
¿Quién es esto?
And Dennis, welcome to Dennis. Welcome to the Daverhood on this Saturday morning. So that's one reason to get excited about the program. Another reason is that we do Inside Broadway. We talk about the theater. And 2 Broadway shows opened this past week, including this one, Bernhard Hamlet with Janet McTeer. And then an English farcical comedy called The Nap. They both opened. The reviews came out. We're going to let you know what the critics thought. Also, a couple of people died this week in the Broadway realm, so we'll be talking about them as well. One whom we bid a fond farewell to, and another. Yeah, give us a horrible noise. Yeah. And one miserable SOB that I'm so glad is dead. So we're going to talk about him too. Yes, it was a happy day yesterday finding out that somebody died.
Oh, God.
But, so we'll go Inside Broadway for news of the Rialto and the Real Potato.
They're looking at your shirt saying it's not nice to see someone die.
Oh, no. Ooh, bad, Dabby. But it looks like ketchup. Anywho, what else we do? Oh, other things to get excited about on this episode of The Dave's Gone By. We'll have story time. Now, you remember, for all those weeks we were doing Hansel and his friggin' cow. Done with that. We also did this book last couple of weeks, The Vegetable Friends. And rather appropriately, you know, that's where they came from. The Vegetable Friends. But we finished the book last week. It was time for a new book. And what better timing could it possibly be this week?
Oh, no.
And to bring in the Bill Cosby book from his character Lil Bill, Meanest Things to Say.
Oh, God. You don't say something mean when you roofie someone.
Meanest Things to Say. Get your hand off my dick! Or no, get my hand off your dick would be the mean thing to say if you're with if you're with Bill Cosby. Gotta get the jaws working this morning. That's what she said. Anyway, Bill Cosby, his Little Bill book on Dave's Gone By is part of StoryTime. Aww. And speaking of getting your hands off things, I've got my hand on my dick. Dictionary. Here it is right here, the Merriam-Webster's Dictionary of 75,000 plus definitions.
Miriam.
Oh, well, I say Merriam. It might be Miriam. But Joyce, my wife, is going right now to thumb through the book, with actually using several fingers, and find...
Transmit. Yeah. Transfer from one person or place to another.
Okay. Transmit. Well, we are transmitting
electricity to pass through a medium to send through radio or television signal.
Okay. All right, that will be the word of the day. I always forget to bring a pen and put that here so I can write down.
Just stay.
Yeah, thank you. So, I could use... Thank you. Just so I have it. Transmit. will be the word of the day on Dave's Big Dictionary. What happens is she finds a word completely at random, and then later in the show I'm going to spend like 5 minutes or so talking about the word. It'll bring up some memory or anecdote or joke, or I'll just ramble for a couple of minutes. The word transmit. I'll do something. Anyway, by the way, we are transmitting this morning to people like Drew and Stan and Dennis and Warhol. Warhol joins us every week, and Juan. Welcome to Juan. See, he's Juan in a million. Yeah, there you go. That's a little comedy right there. What else are we doing? So much reason to get excited, right? Going inside Broadway, Little Bill, the book, Dave's Big Dictionary. We'll have our limerick, so we'll get cultural. Every week we do a Colorado Limerick of the Damned, a really filthy and disgusting little poem about some town or place in Colorado. And today, I'm really excited because the town will be Brush, Colorado, which I've actually been to. I spent a week there one afternoon. No, okay, it's the most miserable, benighted little town you've ever seen. So, especially since the MFs didn't hire me. So, Brush, Colorado will have its own limerick today on Dave's Gone By. And what else? Oh, yeah. Talked about the guest as well. Shall we tell the big news? Oh, and we have a Saturday segue of songs in the news, too. But speaking of incredible, unbelievable news, are you ready, Potato? Right. Are you ready, Papito? Right. Are you ready, Big Grand Kanish?
Wait, I got the drum roll. Wait.
Give it. Oh. It's here! It's here! Dum, da, dum, da, dum, dum, dum. Dum, 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 dum. Heinz Mayochup. We've been talking about this incessantly for weeks. And you know, I was very upset 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or even last week when they said that only a couple of cities would get the Mayochup at first. So it was Chicago, which was really irritating because Chicago doesn't even allow ketchup on its hot dogs.
I know.
Right? You want a ketchup place, a place that worships ketchup. Should have been Pennsylvania.
Yes,
right?
Heinz, yes. Heinz.
Right, but no, Chicago.
Yeah, but we got
Brooklyn.
it too. We got it too.
Well, who knew? A week ago, 2 weeks ago, they said we're going to roll it out.
I think it was a mistaken shipment, probably.
It could be. We go shopping a few days ago in our local Safeway, because King Soopers, for some reason, doesn't. And we always look in the ketchup aisle on behalf of our potatoes.
Tradition.
And we want to get maybe my favorite, the Sir Kensington, or see if they have the organic Heinz.
Elevation you like too?
Elevation is good. Elevation is very
Kensington's
good.
better?
Oh, Kensington's the best.
Whoa.
Kensington is the shit. Oh my God, yeah.
Even better than Heinz?
Sometimes you need that Heinz craving.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's like when you go off the boob, if you're a child, you miss the mother's milk.
Yeah.
But you don't really want that in a shake when you're 12.
24/7,
right, yeah. So sometimes you need that Heinz mother's milk again. But Sir Kensington is good. And we go through the aisles, and we're always looking finally for the Mayochup to come. It came. They got it to the Safeway.
Welcome your new people. Susan and Scott.
Welcome to Juan and Susan and Scott.
I think they're very interested in the Mayochups.
Mayochup, it arrived.
Ask your listeners if anybody's tasted it.
Have you seen? Well, if you've listened to the show, you've heard about
this. They might be the Brooklyn.
Right, so we have so many New Yorkers. Those were the three. There was Chicago, Brooklyn, and one other place they were going to roll it out. But I think the rollout was just 1 week early.
Okay.
And then the whole rest of America gets it. And it's the genius Heinz idea of putting ketchup, which they have 60% of the market of still, with mayo, that they really want more of the Hellman's market, the best foods market. Because they never want, you know how they've been promoting the mayonnaise for weeks after weeks? This is the next salvo. This is the next launch. But you can tell the paucity of imagination of the Heinz people here.
Why?
Because the best thing that they could think of to put on this bottle.
They call it saucy sauce.
Yeah, it's retarded. Saucy. Look, read this. It's Heinz Mayochup. What kind of sauce is it? Oh, it's saucy sauce.
Well, it's saucy, meaning a little spicy.
Is that what it's supposed to mean?
Yeah, spicy sauce.
It's less spicy than ketchup. Because they're cooking ketchup with mayonnaise. Think about that. It's like ketchup with egg and goo and semen, and they call it Mayochup. It's less spicy. It's thicker.
Wow.
Well, no, actually, it pours easier than ketchup because it squeezes like a little, with Heinz ketchup. You gotta. Here, it does pour. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's not a pleasant sight. It's like here, but it looks like Russian dressing. And you get a look at that. Oh, there it is, folks. And I taste it. I'm going to taste it again.
Another David joined in Eileen.
It's not bad. And the thing is, in other countries, they've been doing this for years, and they call it fry sauce.
Yeah.
Because mainly you're supposed to use it for fries, hence the shirt today. So, yeah, as I understand, Russian dressing, or it kind of does look like that, or maybe even
No, you
Thousand
learned
Island.
Russian dressing has something else in it, right?
Soybean oil.
Yes,
and,
you looked up what it was. There's a difference.
Maybe a little horseradish. Check out the fine ingredients. And by the way, this is glorified ketchup with a little bit of mayonnaise. When you hear the ingredients, you're going to wonder, why is this selling for $5.99? I mean, it's like, no reason on earth except an idiot like me is going to buy it. Here. First ingredient. This is the one with soybean oil. That is the first ingredient, not ketchup, not
it has to
mayonnaise.
keep everything together with the soybeans.
I guess. And then guess what the second ingredient is?
High fructose corn syrup.
Not even sugar. High fructose corn syrup. This is crap. Tomato. I'm sorry. Tomato concentrate.
Okay.
So at least it's got some actual tomato in it. Joyce is going to read the fine ingredients of Mayochup here.
And they make it small so you can't read it. Oh,
Yeah.
I almost dropped it. Hold on.
Oh.
Okay. Distilled white vinegar.
That's okay.
Egg yolks.
That's okay, too.
Contains less than 2% of the following: whole eggs, salt, sugar, onion powder, garlic powder, lemon juice concentrate, xanthium gum, modified food starch, natural flavor, paprika extract for color, phospholipase, calcium, disodium etna,
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff.
potassium sorbate, and sodium benzoate to protect freshness. Contains egg.
Okay. I didn't want to say that's some good stuff.
You could call Heinz and ask questions, it says.
If they didn't put paprika in this, it'd probably be white like mayonnaise, I'll betcha.
No,
Because they said paprika for coloring.
Yeah, but also the...
Oh, tomato concentrate.
Yeah, that would be a red.
Why would they say paprika for coloring then?
Because it's not it's not for nutritional value.
Well, it is high fructose corn syrup.
I know, but I guess that's why they're saying it.
And I like, much as I like food starch, I like when they modify my food starch.
Yes, it makes it more
It's
peppy.
boring until they modify it.
Give it a little zest.
Now, did you try this? What did you think of it?
I can't try it.
Oh, you haven't even
I think
tried the chups?
It tastes to me like tartar sauce, what I imagine tartar sauce would taste like.
Tartar sauce,
No?
but a little less bland. It starts with a
yeah.
little ketchup in it, kind of. It's not bad.
But I don't like ketchup, so... I don't like ketchup. I'm sorry.
How is that possible?
It's not my cup of tea.
No, it's not
When
a cup
I
of tea,
was
it's
a
cup of ketchup.
child, we had a neighbor who hailed from Ireland.
Yeah.
And he used to make scrambled eggs and put ketchup on it. And I thought it was the grossest thing ever. I was horrified.
I ate scrambled eggs with ketchup every morning.
It explains a lot.
I love tomato. And this is the funny thing. I'll be talking probably later about the whole Judge Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford thing. But one of the ways they were making fun of him and saying that he was an evil guy is not that he almost raped a girl,
Ketchup,
and not that but that he puts ketchup on his spaghetti. I love ketchup on spaghetti. I ate that. I never liked tomato sauce. If I have tomato sauce on pasta, I still add a little ketchup for flavor. Ketchup is delicious. Ketchup is the bomb diggity.
It is not. What are you, 1970s here, hon?
Well, when you tend to avoid tomatoes at night, but what would you eat on pasta when you were younger?
Olive oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Olive oil.
homemade tomato sauce.
Yeah. Remember olive oil? Did you put any garlic, lemon, something?
No. We didn't. We had Parmesan.
Well, you love cheese, so you would just probably douse it with Parmesan cheese.
We had pizza. We lived with.
Oh, pizza. Okay.
We lived with Italians. We had homemade food that was real.
That's the one moment when I would choose tomato sauce over ketchup is pizza.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can make a pizza with ketchup.
Why would you?
Because the ketchup has vinegar in it.
Get that guy who does the homemade show, the cooking show.
Oh, Weber Cooks.
Yes, do Weber Cooks.
I'll explain that. I can't really... I guess I can play it, not really show it.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
But just after my show's done, go running to YouTube yet. But look up a YouTube thing called Weber Cooks, Weber, Weber Cooks. And there's there's a university called Weber State University. They're actually very close in Utah. I used to call it Weber, but apparently it's supposed to be called Weber. And we played them, our college, our university football team, excuse me, I gotta slow down. Our football team played them.
Here.
Yeah.
Smell the Mayochup.
Oh, this'll do it.
Hold your poo toy.
Well, hold on, let me talk about Weber State.
Center. Maybe you could, that's a stress poo, you could stress it.
We'll explain this in a moment. But Weber State played the UNC Bears last week in the football competition. It was their first Big Sky match. Of course we lost, because our football team is mediocre and our coach just keeps getting his contract renewed. But okay. We lost. But if you go into the Big Sky blogs about our teams here at UNC, someone wrote in, look, it's okay if Weber State beat us in football because they have this. And there was a show, there was a class at Weber State in television and video making.
Yeah.
And one of the students in the class was an older man going back to school for a degree he never got. And this guy thought, why don't I do a show, a quick, 5-minute show, where you've got all these kids in dorms.
Yeah.
And they don't have ovens. They're not allowed to.
No full kitchen.
No full kitchen. They can't have a hot plate even.
And they don't have money. That's why he says everything costs $1. He's like, $1.50, $1.
Because you think kids are going to be broke, and in a dorm they've got no option. They have to eat in the dining hall or outside, or they'll use a microwave. And this a kid hasn't cooked for him or herself ever, and now is off to college. What do they do? So he thought, let me do a quick cooking show for students and show them how to make things in the microwave. So it'll be really helpful. It'll be cheap, and it'll be and it'll fulfill my grade for doing this program.
Oh, I didn't realize he was graded.
So
I thought it was community service.
Well, in a manner of speaking, if you read about him, it was. So it's this guy, Stephen Reed, I think his name is, but he did a series of these, about half a dozen, called Weber Cooks, Weber Cooks. Please don't look at it now, but make a note for after the show. You're going to want to see these. A lot of them went viral for very, very good reason.
Does he get anything when it goes viral?
Oh, hell no.
No, okay.
No, even the college doesn't get anything.
It's just public shame, yeah.
It was 25 years ago probably that these were done. So, but they're quite beautiful. Anyway, how do we get on that? How do we get from Weber Cooks from ketchup, mayonnaise, Mayochup, to...
Oh, our university football team.
Yeah, but how did I get on that?
You just start rambling about teams.
Yes, I wanted to talk about Weber, but somehow that came up.
You were talking about our football team.
Yeah. And it made me so sad.
Yeah.
Talking about our football team. But you know what made me happy? Oh, hey, my cousin Alex just joined. Hello, cousin Alex, and Jamie and Stan
Show
is talking
Alex
about...
the Mayochup.
Alex, look! It arrived.
Wow.
Isn't it beautiful? I mean, for taste, I'll give it a 7, but for looks, man,
yeah,
I'll give it a 7. Anyway.
It looks like it's not, to me when I look at it, it looks like it's uncooked ketchup.
Yes.
I think it's uncooked ketchup.
Right.
That's what, they shouldn't have put it in the same style thing. They should have made a different shape. Because it looks like uncooked ketchup.
Yeah.
Or like relish that went weird.
When relish goes bad.
When relish
And Steve, and welcome to Steve. So, the other reason I'm happy, I had such a miserable summer in so many ways that it's nice to have a good week when good things happen. When Mayochup arrives in your local supermarket.
What else did you receive from your local supermarket?
Mm-hmm. Oh, was this in the, or was it Target?
Supermarket.
It was in the supermarket.
And we got you a second one in TJ Maxx. Show them the back first.
Okay, okay.
It says congratulations.
Well, it's the same thing here. It's the same. We pay actually $3.50 for this.
The other one we paid $2 something.
Congratulations! You now own a tub of magic poo. use this mystical poo. It's not just magical, it's mystical.
Magical,
It's like
mystic.
Van Morrison poo.
No, it's like Bob Marley poo.
You can play pranks, relieve stress, and entertain yourself. Your magic poo will make any shape melt. You can melt this. And bounce. It's magic. So we found this in the supermarket on clearance.
Open this, you could play with one.
If this is $3.50 on clearance, what do you think they were charging for this originally?
$5.
Wow. Almost worth
It's
it,
worth
perhaps.
it.
So am I going to open this now?
Yeah, you have 2 of them.
Okay. I'm going to give it
I'll do it for you here.
Okay. Make sure this wasn't open before. Yeah, no, they're both closed. Okay. So, I have another unopened one. We're going to play with our poo, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this is so exciting.
Oh my god, it's like wrapped again. Like, how much wrapping can they put on your poo? Show the magically
Here's a little
melting.
tub of magically melting.
Oh, it says mold it and play pranks.
Oh, I will. I mean, come on. Find like a 75-year-old man. And like at night, put it under, like by where
No,
he's
you
sleeping.
can't put it on cloth. It
A
says.
little stain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Make a little potato poo.
Okay, here it is.
Oh god. Give me the cap.
No, wait, the first test is the smell.
Probably smells like
It's
clay.
not horrible. At least it's not
Now
perfumey.
dump it out and mold
It's
it.
sort of alcohol-y. Smell it.
Oh, it smells good. It smells like a plastic.
Yeah.
It smells like the Mayochups.
All right, I'm touching it.
Now dump it in your hand.
Ugh. All right, hold on. What? Probably. Oh. Okay, so this is the magic. Let's see how magic. Oh, it
God.
does. It hangs together.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh my god, David. David, look at this.
I hope it comes off my finger, though. It will. Mostly.
David-
Oh, no. Do you have a napkin?
I'll go get some.
Oh, this is... Oh.
Wait, hold on.
Why would anybody want to do this?
Because it looks like you're playing with feces. Look.
Yeah, but it's
Show them,
melting,
look.
but it's still sticking to my fingers.
Here, put it in the tub. Put it in the tub.
Oh.
Put it in the tub.
I am.
Put it in the tub.
Oh, Lord.
Put it in the tub.
Oh, I'm trying to. This is
Put it in
what
the tub.
surgeons do when they do disimpactions. All right, hold on.
In the tub.
Oh,
In the tub. In the tub.
God. Yeah, hold the tub towards
Okay,
the
sorry.
camera.
I don't want to get it on
Oh,
me.
don't get it on you. Oh, man, why did we open this?
It's coming out. Put it in the
This
tub.
is... Ugh.
Roll your hand. Roll it. Roll your hands
Wait,
together.
let me get most of it.
Now get the back part
Jeepers
into.
Creepers.
Okay, well, then put it together.
I'm trying. Oh.
You put your finger in it again. Okay.
That's what she said.
Do
All
it
right,
like
hold
this.
on.
Roll your fingers like this. Roll.
Oh.
Roll your fingers like that.
Oh.
Roll your fingers. Roll. And then rub. See the little schnibbles? Then put it in. Then put it in here.
This is... Why would anybody do this? I mean, I can understand if it all hung like Play-Doh.
Maybe.
Will stay in a clump. This is really like diarrhea. I swear to God.
Here, wait, do it this
This
way.
is like being in India without toilet paper, and you gotta, deal.
Don't be racist.
I'm not, well, or any place without toilet paper.
Do that other finger. Look at your middle finger.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'll go get you a napkin.
There's nothing magical about this.
Ooh.
This is the opposite of magical. Magical would be like it I don't know, it makes breakfast or something. This is just disgusting. Which I kind of appreciate. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is our testing of magic poo. I mean, the problem is, if you keep playing with it and it stays... I got it on my wedding ring. If you keep playing with it, more and more of it, sticks to you instead of going in the thing. And therefore, within a couple of days of playing with this, you're going to lose half of it. Ugh. Man, not to mention all the oils from your fingers and the schmutz and the dirt is going to denature the quality of the fecal matter that this is. Oh. Okay, not recommended. Okay, very mild recommendation for Mayochup. Here's this. And not recommended at all to have magic poo. Because, also, it does warn you, it does say, check this out, not for consumption, okay, duh, not for pets, keep away from hair, not to be, keep away from hair, not to be used by children under 3 years of age, do not use on broken or abraded skin, wash hands after use, no shit, or yes shit, store the magic poo in the container in order to keep the magic poo in good condition. Yeah, in good condition. And warning, keep away from fire. It's a melting poo, and you're supposed to keep it away from fire. Do not leave the magic poo with children unattended, because it's kind of like Brett Kavanaugh. You lock the door with the children and the poo in the room. They're going to get touched. Do not place this item onto upholstery, furniture, carpet, or any absorbent, delicate, or high-gloss surface. This item may leave marks. What? I need my towel. Welcome to Dave's Gone By the way. Where's the cap? Now I don't even know where the cap is. Oh, here it is. What a horror. Magic poo, or as we like to say, magic oud. We can also call it that. Here's, let's get that top on. Oh, much fun. My morning was going so well. And I hate mess. I hate stuff on me. I'm kind of monkish in that way. Wipe. I need the wipe. This program is brought to you by the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. If you have any copying jobs, printing, binding, if you need to put your logo, perhaps you're from the Magic Poo people, and you want to put this on pencils and clothing and banners and sporting equipment, they can do that for you. Also, we're past the Jewish holidays now. I think it's about Simchas Torah time, which means soon enough we'll be thinking about Hanukkah and Christmas, not the most Jewish of holidays, but they do holiday cards. They're known for that. They're also known for wedding invitations. Hewlett Minuteman Press. They're the copy kings of Broadway. As a matter of fact, I think I have, let's do P for Pooh, shall we? Here's, this is their flyer, and these are all the things that Minuteman can do for you, just involving the letter P. They do packing and shipping. I imagine they even do fudge packing, ladies and gentlemen. Pads, padding, party invitations, pencils, pens, perforations, personalized stationery, photo, business. Thank you. Good Lord. Did you go to Iceland for these? Oh, God. It's all over my everything.
Well, that's what happens with poo.
All right, one morning, I know you're going to put these in my underpants. Right, I'm going to wake up and there they'll be.
I don't really know the difference. See, it melts. Play pranks.
No kidding.
Mold it. Maybe you have to put it under, put it under a cool condition.
I don't know.
It says wash hands after use.
No kidding. Oh, God. I mean, the point is, if it stays on your hands, you start losing it. You don't get it back into the jug.
Maybe you should put your hands with flour, like they do on the bake show.
Yeah.
Like roll your hands in flour. Put on latex gloves before you play with your poo.
Yeah, sure. Oh, you think that it'll ever come off a latex glove?
I think it would. It'll come off a glove, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for this.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
man. Now, do you want to play with it now?
No.
It's kind of fun for a moment.
No.
If you don't use your whole hand, like one finger or two.
No.
No?
No, thank you.
I was just going to throw that out. Okay. Not magical at
You
all.
don't want to play with my poo? Remember my poo in Argentina?
This is one of our finest memories. Joyce and I, about 20 years ago, were invited to see some theater in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and they have various streets and locations there, including a street called Maipú, Maipu.
Oh, tell Fred he missed your poo. Show Fred the poo.
Oh, Fred, you...
Catch Fred up on the poo and the mayonnaise.
Well, he can rewatch the rerun. I'm not opening this again.
No.
There's no way in hell I'm opening this again. But you missed Mayochup and... there it is. Mayochup and the poo. By the way, Annette says... Oh, Annette's going back to the whole pasta thing because this was so appetizing. Because both of these are so appetizing. Annette says, Jewish pasta. I make it all the time. She's talking about pasta with ketchup as opposed to tomato sauce. Stan, don't forget the garlic and butter. Oh, that's different. Garlic and butter.
That's linguine.
I should have... I did make pasta for the first time last week with olive oil, garlic. I should have added. I did put in butter. It was really good.
Yes.
That was. She's right, Annette. You are correct. But welcome to Annette and Stan again, and Paul and John, of course, and Steve, and our friend Fred from Friendy. So Fred, yeah, you missed the miracle of magical melting poo.
Tell him he can get one in Stop and Shop.
Yeah, just don't open it.
Not Stop and Shop. What is it called?
Safeway.
King Soopers.
Oh no, you're right. King Soopers has that. Safeway has this.
You should go return your poo and say it's too sticky.
That's
that
right.
melting thing is disgusting. I thought it would be like
putty.
silly putty.
Yeah. Like you could, let's say you went to a Charlie Brown comic, and you would lay the poo down on it, and then it would look like Charlie Brown and Lucy are covered with shit. That would be amusing.
You need to freeze it.
Or something. I don't know what the hell to do with it. You opened it again. All right, here, let's show it to everybody. Well, you liked the smell before.
Yeah, it's got some...
Oh, man. No, here it is. Here it is. It's like... Yeah, right. This is this is what Bill Cosby used to eat. All right, here we go.
It does look like Jell-O.
Kinda.
Oh, it's nice.
It's fun to touch. Yeah. But start playing. Go ahead, start playing with it.
You could just touch it in the...
Try just pushing your finger into the...
You got bubbles in your poo now.
I got bubbles in my poo?
This is nice. Feel it. Just touch it like that.
Oh,
touch it.
Okay, we're going to do this on camera. No, this feels okay. That's very pleasant. Yeah, take some and start pulling it between your fingers.
No, you're not supposed to.
See how much fun that is.
You're not supposed to pull it between your fingers. You're supposed to roll it into the palm of your hand. Try rolling into the palm of your hand.
You try rolling in the palm of your hand.
No, you try just roll it.
I got the wipes here.
Just roll it in the palm of your hand.
Fine. Put it on my hand. Oh, God damn it. Here we go. Oh.
Wait. It's coming out. Hold on.
Yeah. All right, we're doing this again. I can't believe we're doing this again.
Just roll it in your hands like that. Yeah, see? How's that?
Oh, I see.
David, look. Wait, your poo's dangling. Look.
Yeah, usually does. Look, I'm still having this problem.
No. Not on the paper.
Well, now look where I'm at. Now look what happened.
Show people.
Oh. God almighty.
Why did you make it messy?
Because you told me to roll it.
Roll it in your hands.
It rolls into a cigar.
No, roll it and put it, okay. Put it in.
Oh, there it is. Okay. It really does look like, ugh. Now look at my hands again.
You have the wipes.
I know. Oh, ew.
Wait a second.
Ew.
Stop pulling it.
That's what she said. Hold on. Lord.
Fred said, just for me, thanks.
It's magical.
Roll your hands. Roll them.
There's nothing to roll. I gotta get these little schnibbles off my skin. Oh.
Tell Fred, put that in the neighborhood news.
Just when I thought I was out, she pulls me back in.
That's right.
Yeah. You can roll it in your hands.
Show Fred your nice shirt, too, honey.
Yeah, so my French fry and ketchup shirt. All right, almost here.
I think that poo costs more than your shirt.
Probably... I paid $2 for this somewhere in a thrift store.
No, anyway, you bought it in TJ Maxx.
I hate this.
Okay, anything more?
Just get it away from me.
Okay, your poo's closed.
All right.
Where are you going?
Where am I going? Get my wipe again.
Oh,
Lord.
It's a little bit upsetting.
You know how the Jews say about the Holocaust, never again?
Oh, look, potatoes on the floor. He killed it.
Oh, no. Where do you go? Oh, that's other potato. Look at this. We have our legitimate Colorado potato, or Idaho potato, industry potato, who took a header. Ugh. Here he is. Sorry, he fell down. He's also in the office. Hi.
What does he think?
He's kind of gender neutral.
What does he think of the poo? Oh, yeah.
He doesn't actually have any genitals at the moment. We're working on that. But let me see what he thinks of the poo.
Or the ketchup.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Or check this out. Check it out. Give it a sniff. Here we go. Here's the Mayochup. Yeah, baby. Oh, he likes it. He does like it.
What's he saying?
He's drinking it. He's drinking it.
Don't give him too much.
Oh, that's syrupy.
Syrupy? Oh, saucy. It's the saucy sauce.
Yeah, it is a saucy sauce. Yes, it is.
It's a saucy sauce.
God.
I know.
Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings. Give them a call. 516-569-5577. Area code 516-569-5577. And if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. Hewlett Minuteman, they do it all. You're watching the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling wife, Joyce,
Hola.
and all our potato friends, our papito friends, our little tiny potato friends. Oh. On this episode, we're calling it Mayochup because it has arrived. Reminding you to stay tuned, because Rabbi Saul Solomon will be talking to a man who founded Kids Music Day just a couple of years ago. It's a nonprofit that is trying to get kids and make sure that kids have the opportunity to try musical instruments, to listen to music, different kinds of music, to bring more music into their lives. Should be kind of a fun conversation with Rabbi Saul Solomon and Vincent James. His organization is called Keep Music Alive. I think we're keeping mucus alive with this stuff here today. But there's that. There's Dave's Big Dictionary, and the word is going to be transmit. We'll also have story time. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we finished Vegetable Friends last week, and now the Bill Cosby book, The Meanest Things to Say. Oh, yeah, you put the hand in the woman's pudding. That's terrible. But anyway, we'll be doing story time. We'll have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Brush, Colorado. We'll go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto. My God, what is there? Oh, and the Saturday Segue of songs in the news. So we've got a really full program.
You want to show them with all the 3 bottles of Mayochup?
Oh, those are 3 kinds of mayonnaise. Oh, you want the picture I'm holding the thing? Because in other countries, Heinz does all these different... They have lemon mayonnaise that they sell in Turkey, and probably turkey mayonnaise that they sell in lemon. But Joyce took a picture of me holding not 1, not 2, but 3 bottles of Mayochup in the supermarket.
It's not opening it.
Oh, well.
Sorry, honey.
No problem. Do you want to get to Greeley Crimes and Old Times?
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. So this is the other thing that we do and try and do every Saturday here.
Oh, I got dizzy.
In the day. Were you okay?
I need some Mayochups.
Oh, here. Want to drink it straight from the bottle?
No.
No. Okay. It's time, ladies and gentlemen.
To be honest.
For our beloved weekly segment.
Why do you have all this on my stuff?
Why is it not doing that? Hello? Thank you.
You got a problem.
Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Da-da-da-da. Doodly-poo. Mayochup-oo. Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. We do it every week here. It's based on a column in our local newspaper, or 2 columns, really, in our paper, the Greeley Tribune. And by the way, speaking, not all good news this week. I got to give a shout-out. I got to give a salute to, not a friend of mine, but an acquaintance of mine named Dan England. Back when I was doing...
Is that his real name?
Yeah, I assume it's his real name. A fellow named Dan England, who did a story on me when I was... I honestly don't remember if I was working with Rabbi Salon Shalom Dammit, or if he did it for Miracle of Long John's. But when I was doing...
I think he did 2.
One of those pieces, well, he did one big story on me, and then he couldn't do another full one, but they mentioned it in the weekend section. When I was doing these plays in
town... They mentioned Miracle in the weekend section.
Yeah. And so it would have been when I was working with Rabbi Salon Shalom Dammit. He did like a full 1.5-page profile on me in the Greeley Tribune, for which I was really grateful. It was a lovely story. I mean, he got everything right.
Which is hard to do.
Which I don't get everything. When I interview people for, like, Long Island Woman magazine, every once in a while, I'll get something wrong off Wikipedia, or I'll make some mistake, and I catch hell from, like, the publicist of the actor, right, or actress. But he got everything perfectly right in the story. He's covering all sorts of human interest and entertainment kinds of stories, has been doing it for years at the Greeley Tribune. I'm presuming that the Greeley Tribune is in money trouble, like every other newspaper in America.
Did he leave, or you don't know how did it happen? What happened?
He has left the Greeley Tribune, not of his own volition.
How do you know?
Because he posted on Facebook. He said, after 20 years, the Greeley Tribune and I are parting ways.
Yeah.
I imagine it wasn't a salary dispute, unless it was like, we'll keep you if you'll work for no salary. You know?
But you need more info.
I know, I'm reading into it. He didn't post like a whole précis on
Did they write
Facebook.
anything in the Trib about him leaving?
I looked. It's funny, they posted one story of his the day after he left. So he probably had it in the can and then they ran it. Right.
Did he do like a sunrise sunset, like My Time at the Trib story?
Would have been nice. I haven't seen one. Maybe he had one more to pull the trigger on. I haven't looked in the last 2 days. Or he's just disappeared. You know, it'd be nice. He got a ton of responses on his Facebook post.
What did they say? What was it like?
I have to...
No, but what was the theme? Do you recall? Like, were they supportive?
Oh, of course. As, oh, sorry, Dan. People wanted to know more information about why. Because it's obvious, like, oh, I'm quitting to go with the Denver Post. No, it's not like that. It's a newspaper. I don't know if there were other people who, because of money, etc. I don't know.
Money changes everything.
It makes the world go round.
Sometimes you get the saucy sauce. Sometimes you have to touch the poo.
Yeah, right.
You know?
But whatever happened, I absolutely wish Dan...
Interview him. Have him on your show.
You know? Yeah, I'll have to get to him through Facebook because I don't have any other contact for him now.
Get him to Facebook and have him on the show.
Yes, I will. If he's able, if he's willing,
Mike
if he wants to have a
lovely,
gag or something. So
no, but he can say stuff. He doesn't have to be so specific. He can give. You know, he's an intelligent person. He can say stuff without violating any contract.
And he has 20 years of articles that he's written. He's going to be a font of stories.
And why can't you talk about his journalism career like you did with Mike Peters?
Yeah, that's what I said. You know, 20 years at the Trib, he's going to be filled with, you know, this was my favorite one, this was the most difficult one, these were the funniest.
This was an anecdote of something that happened. Yeah.
This is what the Trib was like 20 years ago. Yeah. So they already had computers and email, but they might not have had the digital social media revolution, etc.
You should have him over.
That's great. You know what? Dan, if you're watching, I don't see him watching, but if you're watching, because we're Facebook friends, I will contact you this week. Let's get you on the show. We'd love to have you on. As if nothing else, as payback for writing that really lovely story about me a few years ago.
I'd like to know more about his life and his works,
Damn straight. So, but I certainly, no matter what, I wish him well in his future endeavors. And I worry for the future of, like everything else. You know, the Denver Post went through slashings a few years ago. Daily News cut half its staff.
Yeah.
You know, Village Voice is dead. I mean, who knows what the next iteration is going to be? It's going to be a bunch of people writing news for free. And it'll be, you know, get your news wherever the hell you can.
It's going to be Reddit. That's what Reddit is.
I guess. And that's what people will turn to.
What do you call it? Crowdsourcing, you know?
No, crowdsource news. Yeah. Essentially.
That's what I think.
And entertainment and reviews, which people are sort of already doing.
Yeah, but no one will have the snazzy shirt like you, honey.
That's true. That's true. They won't look like Moa. Anyway, I just had to say that because we're talking about the Greeley Tribune, our local newspaper. I mean, and even our college newspaper is down to once a month in hard copy. They have a website, but the UNC Mirror, when we moved here, the UNC Mirror came out twice a week.
Really?
It did. It came out something like on Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. It did.
Wow.
And then they cut it back to, not only that, when we were here, there were 2 newspapers.
That's true.
I worked for one of them, and the son of a bitch never paid me my last paycheck. But, yeah, there was the UNC Mirror and do you remember the other one? Something with a C. Anyway.
The Bear.
No, it was that. Because it was semi-independent. It was connected to the university, but not directly. But anyway, so there were 2, and they cut it down to once a week. Now it's once a month, hard copy. And this is, my goodness. I have such mixed feelings about this, because I used to work there. Playboy magazine is going seasonal.
What does that mean?
It means they're going to have 4 hard copy issues a year instead of 12.
Yeah, because people can go online.
I guess they can. I mean, I used to work for Playboy and was fired by them when they sacked the advertising department. So, you know, I have no great love for the dead Hugh Hefner or Christie, but also dead Hugh Hefner got me through some pubescent years too, so thank you. I feel bad for I'm sorry. I don't know. But I'm just saying, man, and even Rolling Stone, I'm not going to really do Rolling Stone anymore.
Why not?
They've gone down to like, first they went to a bi-weekly, I think they're a month now.
Then they got that big size magazine. It's like
they make a magazine the size of what is it? Like that fucking t-shirt over there. It's the size of a Rolling Stone magazine. Yeah. It's like, or they think that's going to sell more, or they can just charge more for advertising because it looks more of a lifestyle book. I don't know. I am just praying.
That's what killed the Long Island Pulse, right? They did that and they died. When they went to that format, they died.
Well, the Pulse, which I've been writing for a decade, that died a few months ago. Yeah. So I lost that outlet. And also, it was a beautiful magazine, maybe so beautiful that you can't, you know. Although, I don't know, I was probably not making, I don't know if it was hemorrhaging money. It was probably not making money, and the editor said she wanted to put her energy into other things. So that could be.
When people leave, they say all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if it was making a lot of money, I think they probably would have kept it going.
I agree.
But you know, that too. I just hope Reader's Digest stays Reader's Digest. You know, that would be the end of my world. If like they stopped TV Guide entirely.
Yeah.
Because I love the season preview, fall preview issues. And if you couldn't go into a doctor's office and look at a good old-fashioned Reader's Digest with readable print.
Reader's Digest in a doctor's office ever.
I do it all the time. When you go in for the dentist, when you go to I read the Reader's Digest.
Where?
On the pile of stuff. I'm telling you, it's there.
Smoke. Yeah. I'm going to throw the poo at you.
I mean, I'm glad New York Magazine is still publishing, but you need a microscope to see the lettering. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I'm sitting on a toilet. I don't want to have to reach for a pair of glasses. Where are you going to put glasses in a bathroom? Where it's not going to get crunched or yeah. No, I mean, why am I going to do that? I want to sit down. I want to make my poo.
Can we do Greeley Crimes and Old Times? I'm getting.
I don't want to read a magazine. That's all I want to do. I mean, either the magazine's too big, I can't deal with it. Either the print is too small, I'm looking like this. Just give me a fucking magazine I can read. I'm taking a shit for a minute and a half. That's all I want. I want to reach for something for a minute and a half and be able to read it. Like a person, like a human being.
You're scaring the new people.
So endeth the sermon. Welcome to Howard and Raymond. Oh, Raymond, our friend of the Daverhood. Jeffrey and Segar. Ooh, you're new. Hello.
Segar?
Is it Segar or Sagar?
Shalom, Segar.
And Lorraine. Welcome to Lorraine and all the folks. So, how do we get on this?
I have no idea.
The Greeley Tribune newspaper, which is probably dying like every other newspaper, but for now, they still have two great columns. They've got Greeley 100 years ago, where they go through the newspaper 100 years ago, and they find the funniest, oddest things that were being printed back then. And also Cop Log, which are brand new, and these are phone calls that come into the Greeley and Weld County Police Dispatch.
We should sometimes dramatize the Cop Log.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes.
Not this week, but maybe we'll work on it. We'll plan something out. We'll play it out dramatically here on Dave's Gone By. So are you ready for Greeley Crimes and Old Times?
Will you transmit?
I will. I will transmit this to you. That's
the word. Remember the word?
Police, what was? Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting to mention we also have potato news today.
Yes.
Exciting. Greeley police responded to 10th Street and 10th Avenue.
Near 8th and 8th.
Near 8th and 8th. This is 10th and 10th.
2 and 2.
Ooh. For a report of a naked man. There he is. Wow. Beware, beware of the naked man sitting at the bus stop. The caller said the man at least had something draped over his lap, quote, covering his bits. Yeah.
Well, you know, who says chivalry's dead?
Exactly.
If you're going to be a naked man at the bus stop, at least cover your bits.
Yeah. Hopefully his bits weren't covered in poo, I'll tell you that. Oh, that would not be nice. Hey!
Wait.
Oh, no, we need something bigger. Is the bell here?
Oh, God.
You
do it. I can't do the bell.
Hobo alert! Hobo alert! Oh, my. Oh, my. I don't know if we have any hobo alert music. But this is exciting because... do you want to explain why this is important to us?
So the common theme of Greeley Crimes and Old Times and Greeley, 100 years ago, is that they were always trying to do temperance. They always wanted to make Greeley dry with no alcohol or drugs. And the second part is three. Second part is they always wanted to, chase wayward chickens. And the third part is they always wanted to torture or imprison hobos, vagrants,
harass them,
yes,
get them out of town.
Yes, remove them.
And so, yes, we have a hobo alert in the news today.
So you killed your first hobo.
I love that line. Here we go. Here's our hobo alert.
Lower so I can see you.
Oh, that's right. For this Saturday in the Daverhood, police responded to 9th Street
Oh, there you go.
for a report of a homeless man who walked up to the caller's car and peed on one of the doors.
Oh, we don't have a pee-pee one. Wait.
Well, yeah, I can do it. Like,
Making sissy. That's disgusting. Don't pee on people's cars. Come on.
I wonder, I didn't even get to talk about this. Our car died earlier this week. Getting
No, not the car, the battery.
Well, who knew? I have to go teach on Monday morning. So,
No, you don't. Tuesday.
I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. On Monday, I brought the car in for the oil change that was due. You got that sticker on the car. I don't know if all service things do that.
Yeah.
But they put a number on there. When your odometer reaches that number, it's time for an oil change and a checkup. So I arrange it. I bring the car in. They change the oil. They look things over. I tell them, hey, we may want to do something. We might want to drive this car cross country. How's the shape of the car? And he said it's, despite hail damage, it's doing great. It's doing fine. Should get you cross country and back, no problem. Wonderful. I bring the car home. Next morning, I get in the car. It won't start. Which, plus I've got 15 minutes to get to school.
Yeah.
So I'm just in a rage. And AAA was wonderful. Called them when I finished one of my classes. And they brought a guy over, and he said, well, let's see if we need a tow or if you just need to be jumped. And he put on the jumper cables, started it, was able to drive it to the service station, where again it died, so they needed to jump it again. And I said to the service guy, I'm like, you know what? What the hell? I'm like, I just brought this in yesterday. The car was working just fine. And it angered me even more because my parents used to have a car and go to a particular gas station, service station, years ago. And they would fix one thing, and two other things a week later would go wrong.
Yeah.
Like you bring it in, and then this is fine. And by potchkeying with it, as my mom would say, they made 4 other things worse. And I don't want this service station to turn into that.
No.
So I'm like, so what the hell? And the guy from AAA, he pulled off the little rubber doohickey off the battery, and it's just white with corrosion.
Tell them what happened.
So we don't know how did this. First of all, I don't know why our service people couldn't figure that out, and then our battery's way low. So it was just a new battery, and our service guy gave us credit because our battery had a warranty. Bit of that still left, so that calmed me down a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what? It happened because
on the day that we had a big hailstorm, not only were we pelted by hail, and it destroyed the hood and the roof. Here's hail falling from the sky. There it goes. Oh, look at this big size hail.
Chocolate hail. Here, chocolate hail.
Oh, God, yeah. But it occurred to you, I didn't even think of this, that in driving home, we should have just fucking waited another half hour, but we drove through these streets with
I think also
giant puddles.
that there was flooding when the actual hail dropped, so there was flooding.
Yeah.
The car had been flooded from the bottom up. Yeah,
Just
the whole
from
parking
the
lot was
bottom?
flooded because when we came out of Target, that it slopes down toward the stores, and there was like a river, and that river came from all the flooding of the cars.
Oh, man.
So all the cars got completely flooded from the bottom up, and then when the flooding stopped, the water ran down toward Target. That's why we were jumping across that river. That had flooded the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't occur to me, occurred to you, so we had rust, as it were. Because in Colorado, you don't expect a lot of rust and corrosion.
No mold,
you get sunshine 300 days a year. Where's it coming from? But, they changed the battery, they fixed the thing. But now I realize it could have been rust and corrosion from the hail, or maybe hobos have been peeing on our car.
I didn't want to mention that, yes.
And that could be urinal corrosion. It was white, though. It wasn't yellow.
It's not a super poo.
I like that. It's a Subarurin. I don't even know what that means. By the way, you're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. Hey, number 1 fan, Pam!
Wait, let's give her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, speaking of Facebook, she posts some photos on her Facebook page. She is a hot lady.
Good.
They're not sexy, but she's a beautiful woman. Never noticed that all those years. I used to work in the same
her
place.
husband's a photographer, so he takes beautiful photos. Yeah.
But Pam, you are one primo babe. If I dare say this in this hashtag #MeToo era time.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, granted, you're no Mrs. Bokbagok, but then again, who is? Let's see. And by the way, welcome to Jeffrey and I can't. Is that an E or an A? Segar and Lorraine and Steve and Michael and of course Pam. Number one fan. I remember she used to listen every week. She used to write in.
She was devoted.
This was back when we were just on the radio. Now, of course, we have Facebook, and we're here every Saturday from 9 until noon Mountain Time. On the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. You can find out more about us at davesgoneby.com, DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby.com. You can also write to me, davesgoneby@AOL.com, and even, of course, message me right here on Facebook on Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your family, tell your wannabe Supreme Court justices. This is where to find us on Facebook. All your potatoes, any vegetables.
Especially with potato news, they're going to be right excited.
And the idea that this is Mayochup Day. That's what we're calling this episode, live on this Saturday, September 29th, 2018, our 668th episode of the show. We're calling it Mayochup. Because it came, it's here. You can probably get New York folks who are listening, so, oh boy, Mayochup. It's, I'm not going to say it's gross, but it's disappointing, but it's edible. You know, I should try it on fries or something. And speaking of disappointing, if you missed it, remember that you can watch the archives and listen to the archives of all our programs just by going to davesgoneby.com. So if you missed the delight of me trying to wrangle this jar of poo, you can just go back and see it. We'll post the show tomorrow.
Chris joined too.
Hours of fun. And welcome to Chris, by the way. So let's get back to Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We did a hobo alert. That was exciting.
Oh, that was too taxing.
Oh, yeah.
It was very taxing.
Speaking of taxes and things like that, well, Frank Olmsted. Frank Olmsted. He brought several complaints to the Greeley City Council Tuesday night, including 4 houses on 6th Avenue that have no sewer connections.
Oh, God.
So, everyone is using an outhouse. Up to 20 people live in each house.
Ugh.
Can you imagine?
Like 80 people, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, 20 times, what is it? 4.
80.
They say an outhouse.
That's awful.
I don't know if it's just one outhouse for 80 people.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's going to smell like Greeley on a Thursday morning. Much worse than this, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine sharing, people getting, I remember watching Good Times when I was a kid. One of the jokes was there were 5 people living in this little apartment, all sharing a bathroom. So alone, or who was the daughter? JJ. Who was the sister? Oh, come on, what was her name?
I'm losing it.
Yeah, Malone was the neighbor. JJ.
Michael.
Right, Michael was the black activist kid, and the sister was
Walona.
And whatever. But it was always she was in the bathroom. JJ had to use it. Michael had to use it. They had to use it.
We used an outhouse when we were at the Merle Fest.
True. Yeah. Sure, and sometimes you had to wait a little bit. But can you imagine 80 people waiting for one outhouse? Yeah, that'd be tough to shower in there too, I would figure. Yeah. By the way, it is your patriotic duty. I said duty. It is your patriotic duty to save peach pits.
Why?
Who knew? When you have several of these peach pits, call the Boy Scouts, and they will collect them.
For what?
Do you have any idea why? Wouldn't have occurred to me.
You can probably make something with it, like charcoal, I don't know.
Same idea, really. Yeah. The pits are used by the federal government to make carbon for military gas masks. This is towards the end of World War I. And this was the first war to use gas.
And now they're recalling some of the Boy Scout ties because they have iron in them or something. You know, the little band they wear on their the little neckerchief. You wear those little things. Some of them were made with some toxic chemicals.
For crying out loud! How is iron toxic?
Not iron. It was lead.
Oh, so that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They made a mistake in one of the shipments and shipped lead ones. Yeah.
If you can't touch little boys one way in a bad way, they're gonna find another way to do it. Incroyable.
What's the next one, honey? I'm getting sloopy.
Why don't we go outside the confines of Greeley for a moment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go elsewhere. Let's go to St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow.
St. Louis, Missouri. Oh. All right. This is kind of a little scary. This is sort of a pre-Halloween story, so don't shake, don't get scared. Here's a pre-Halloween story from St. Louis.
Where do you go?
Or near St. Louis.
Okay.
At a Jack-in-the-Box in Velda City, Missouri.
Oh, it's pretty, Velda.
20-year-old Charles Wood Jr.
Yeah.
pulled up to the drive-thru to place his order.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled the car in at an angle.
Yeah.
So in order to reach for the order,
Yeah.
he had to open the car door. When he did,
Oh, God.
he accidentally accelerated the car backwards.
Oh, my God. Backward or forward?
Backwards. He like...
Oh, because he kicked, yeah.
In doing so, he got pinned against a tree where he suffered massive injuries to his head, neck, and torso.
God.
And he was pronounced dead at the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Jack out of the box, man.
Well, drive-thrus are dangerous. I mean, usually it's the cholesterol in the food that'll kill you, but now, wow. The fat, that's...
I remember getting ticked off at a drive-thru because I was hungry. This is years ago. Yeah. And I walked... I wasn't driving. I didn't have a car. And I wanted to walk up to the drive-thru. I think I was on my bike and make an order. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, why not? I'm standing here at a window.
Because probably you could get hit.
Yeah.
God forbid somebody...
Well, somebody should see me and like, hello.
This is what I feel bad for. Like, when you go through the drive-thru, you're trapped in that line. We often see it near Baskin-Robbins or Starbucks or something. What happens if somebody's really hungry? I wish that man would have eaten first because he died without really having a meal. He was probably starving.
Pretty easy to do the autopsy because the stomach contents would have been...
empty.
Yeah. Save the coroner some time.
That's sad. That's very depressing.
Well, yeah, it's a creepy pre-Halloween story from St. Louis, Missouri. Police responded to an apartment building on 30th Street for a woman sifting through ashtrays and pocketing half-smoked cigarettes. Yeah. I guess UNC's provost is trying to find money any way she can.
God, don't say
Just
that.
Just kidding. The Greeley Auto Equipment Company is sponsoring a contest.
You know, we don't have a car horn. That's the one sound you think would be very common.
Hold your ears.
Okay.
Well, it's sort of an Ooga horn.
Okay. Okay.
So this is for the Greeley Auto... Oh, sorry, yeah. The Greeley Auto Company. They're sponsoring a contest to name the store's new inner tube patch.
Wow, that's exciting.
That's
the potatoes,
desperate contest
potatoes
ever.
wanted to be called the tuber.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah, but this is pretty good. I mean, considering how long ago this was.
When I'm here, I'm always hungry, and you know why?
Why?
Because
you
I'm
have
looking
potatoes.
at potatoes. That's why.
There's potatoes everywhere.
Like, that's why. Okay, it makes sense. Yeah.
But if you were to name, if you figured out a great name for their inner tube patch, the best name will win $25.
That's good.
That's a lot of money back in 1918.
That's hard to figure out, though. It's not a really... You have to be pretty skilled to figure something like that out.
The patch match. Now, tube lube, tuberific, tuberosity.
The Greeley grip.
Tuberculosis. I don't fix it.
I don't like that.
Fix him a jig.
Give me a good one.
All right. Hold on. Here we go. Police responded to a school for a report of a highly intoxicated 16-year-old boy who was staring at the front door, stumbled, and then fell into a fence.
There you go.
Yeah. They call him Young Brett Kavanaugh.
My sweet laundrette. That's horrible. But it's illegal to drink when you're 16.
No, it's astonishingly, it's illegal to drink when you're 20.
Well, but in Europe, it's younger age.
In Europe, you can drink when you're 8.
No, when you're 18.
May I have more wine, Papa? Sure.
Uh-oh.
Well, he drinks vodka. Why is potato?
That's true,
yeah. Anyway.
They self-produce.
The last Vaudeville show will be this weekend at the Sterling Theater in downtown Greeley.
Ooh.
The acts include comedians Shells and Crest.
Woo!
Remember them?
They were good.
Long before Martin and Lewis, there was Shells and Crest. It was kind of like, what should you do Will you eat pasta and afterwards?
No, it's kind of, what do they pay me? Shells and crusts.
Mimic William Morrow.
Ooh.
Couldn't be.
What? Bill Morrow?
The William Morrow Agency? Could it be him?
Maybe, a mimic. Maybe he had an agent and then he had an agency.
I wonder.
Usually that's how things start, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, I would have gone to see William Morrow and say, hey, represent me. Homer Lind, the singing teacher.
Oh,
that Homer.
A, B, C, E, F, G, woo-hoo, 2 plus 2 is 4.
Lots of more.
Oh, God, Amora.
And the Tumbling Fools. Which actually was UNC's football team. Admission is 10 cents for children, 20 cents for adults for the last vaudeville show. I'm sorry, William Morris.
Yeah.
No, this is William Morrow. I knew something was off there. I rely on you guys. You're tuned in. You're listening. When I make a mistake like that, let me know.
I think they're horrified by your poo playing.
I don't blame you. But anyway, welcome to Lorraine and Stephen and Michael and Pam and Jeff and Chris and Kelly and Stan. Let's see. Let's do a couple more and then we've got potato news coming. Let's see. In Windsor, if you are an able-bodied man, between the ages, check this out. Speaking of drink, between the ages of no, you're too young, potato, but he's old enough. 16 and 21. Oh no, sorry. Between the ages of 16 and 61. 61.
Yeah.
You must work in a useful occupation for at least 6 hours a day and 6 days a week, or you must enlist in the armed forces and fight for your country.
Yeah.
61? Were they taking 60-year-olds in World War I? Young men in school regularly will not be arrested under this provision. So already they have the, what was that thing called in the 60s that you, if you were in college, you...
Educational excuse.
Yeah, deferment?
Exclusion
Draft deferment or something like that, yeah. But anyway, this is rather interesting, I think.
What?
Never injure a dragonfly.
What?
Know why?
Why?
Because they are determined eaters of mosquitoes. Didn't know that.
Wait.
Oh, do this. Yeah. Dragonfly's coming. Got him.
Wow.
Very good, yeah. From the moment they're born until they die, they are dedicated. This is how they put it 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Dragonflies are dedicated to mosquito extermination.
God.
Does it make you wonder if somewhere in mosquito colonies they equate dragonflies with Nazis? Like dragonflies are the master race and mosquitoes are just the Jews.
I'm sure.
I wonder. Let's go again outside of Colorado for another Greeley crime and old time here. This one is Dateline, Hamilton County, Ohio.
Wow.
Police responded to reports of a dead body.
Oh, God.
Wrapped in a garbage bag, found on the side of the road. When they investigated, and they called the coroner, they discovered that the body was a realistic mannequin sex doll.
Ew! That's even sometimes more...
No, it's not worse. How's that worse?
Who would throw away a sex doll?
You know, at a certain point, you get bored with a woman. You want another doll.
Yeah, but they're a couple $1,000s.
Okay. Maybe...
Maybe it was the one from the Jersey Shore.
That's right. Maybe it was kidnapped. She a ransom for her. Anyway, or she just didn't want to do the deflation of shame.
Yes.
But, yeah, so if you see a body on the road, it may not be an actual human being. It could be a sex doll.
That was a happy one. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. See, not everything ends like the guy in the Jack in the Box.
Oh, God, that's horrible.
This was a Jill with a box, if you know what I'm saying. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, there we go. And by the way, welcome to Chris and Kelly and David from my high school. Hello, David. One more and then potato news, shall we? We shall. Police responded to a store parking lot on Center Place Drive for a man asking women to read his sign, which stated, boy toy, with dollar signs on either side.
I like that.
Why is that illegal?
Because it's a solicitation.
Oh, you think the
boy toy with money means pay me to be your boy toy.
Oh.
Was it you?
Could have been.
You would have said man toy.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah. It's like middle-aged bald man
Potato toy.
Potato toy, yeah.
Aww.
So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have so much more for you on the show. We've got Vincent James, the musician, talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. We have our story time with Bill Cosby's Little Bill. We have Dave's Big Dictionary with the song with the word transmit. We've got Colorado Limerick of the Damned. But before we get to all that, oh my goodness.
No, that's not the whole.
Help. That's what she said. Where are we? Oh, help. I claustrophobums. Where am I? I've got an arm.
Yeah.
I've got an arm. Oh.
Put your head.
Can I get my willy through? Where? Is this my head thing? Yeah. There it is.
Watch the wires between your legs.
Oh, that's what she said. Okay. I think I've used that line 4 times today already. Ladies and gentlemen, we move out of Greeley Crimes and Old Times. And we do that this way.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
You say potato, I say potato. Let's call the whole thing Potato News. Because we do this every week, ladies and gentlemen, here on, not every week, but most weeks on Dave's Gone By for the great beauty and wonder that is potatoes. And, of course, on this very special occasion with the arrival of this new condiment from Heinz, we are, of course, doing an edition of potato. Wow, this makes me look so unbelievably bald. Look at that. Look at that. Completely bald all the way to here. Amazing. Anyway, welcome, by the way, to Wayne and David and some other folks to the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. We're here live, coming to you from the University of Northern Colorado, where my office is, surrounded by potatoes, which is why we try and do potato news and keep you current on events involving potatoes. And so, gotta get into character here. Good morning. This is Spudward Armoro with the potato news for today, September 29th, 2018. Dateline Australia, Mashable.com, perhaps the most unfortunately named news website on the internet, Mashable.com, notes that Aussies are up in arms over an item from the restaurant chain Outback Steakhouse. Outback, of course, claims to serve Australian-style chops and blooming onions, also makes a side dish called Australian battered potatoes. These are spuds that are deeply fried and topped with ranch dressing and liquid cheese. First of all, if you see a potato being battered, or you yourself have been battered, contact your authorities and speak out. Meanwhile, folks down under are left to wonder about so-called Australian battered potatoes, since they resemble the scalloped potatoes eaten there, but the toppings have nothing whatsoever to do with Aussie cuisine. For its part, Outback says that Australian battered potatoes were introduced to Americans back in 1987 by Carmel Dyer. She's an expatriate Australian, and they have been popular at our country fairs ever since. It should be noted that to this day, Carmel Dyer has never been charged with any potato-related assault or battery. Dateline Lansing, Michigan, from the Lansing State Journal, whether baked, fried, or boiled, Americans can't seem to get enough of the versatile spud. And they're even better when they're free. Yes, free. Ladies and gentlemen, potato lovers can enjoy free, fresh-cut fries and Michigan-made potato chips from Better Made, Great Lake Chips, and Uncle Ray's when the Michigan Potato Industry Commission holds Potato Day at the Capitol, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Wednesday, October 3rd, on the north lawn of the Capitol. Isn't that amazing? Potato Commission Marketing Manager Nate Cheshire said, quote, "The key is to raise awareness of potatoes in the state. Dishes will also include potato tacos,
Whoa.
mashed potato chocolate cupcakes with peanut butter frosting, chocolate ganache, and rimmed with crushed potato chips."
Whoa.
See, I knew this would be a day for rimming.
You had potato puffs yesterday, babe.
I did. No, I didn't. I had beets.
You had potato puff horse duvers.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Fun fact, 40 different counties in Michigan, from the Yoopers in the Upper Peninsula to the Ohio...
Oh, I know some Yoopers.
Who's a Yooper?
Leanne, my nutritionist trainer, was a Yooper.
Oh my God, does she go to the Potato Day?
Yes, I think she's...
Email her.
She's an attendee.
Tell her that Potato Day is happening in Lansing, Michigan on October 3rd, this week.
She might be one of the officials running Potato Day.
Well, 40 different counties in Michigan grow spuds. But to what end, my friends? To what end? Congratulations to Luther and Cornell Beam of Cookeville, Texas.
Oh, God.
As reported by the Tennessee Herald Citizen newspaper, this summer, the Beams grew a 9-foot-tall tomato plant in a pot right outside their house. Several ripe and delicious tomatoes grew on the plant, although a thief did make off with a few. Naughty, naughty. The couple also saved the plant from being ravaged by a large possum by using a graham cracker to lure the possum into a trap. Meanwhile, Dateline everywhere. As promised, H.J. Heinz has released and shipped its new sauce, Mayochup, to cities all over America. The mix of ketchup and mustard, under the unfortunately named fry sauce, has been part of ethnic dining for years, but now Americans will get the official version that, by the way, Heinz has been selling in the Middle East since 2016. The important thing is that after years of rivalry, ketchup and mustard have made peace and are now friends. Actually, ketchup and mayonnaise should be.
Yes, mustard is still down the house.
I need a better proofreader. In fact, their saucy sauce relationship is now downright incestuous.
Potato, I love you. I'm going to leave.
But it's also safe. They always wear a condiment.
Oh, give me a kiss, Potato.
Okay, hold on. I've got to wrap my tubers around you.
I want to mash you.
Mash me up, baby. Oh,
wait,
yeah.
No,
hold on. I've got this between my legs here, as well as a wire. Oh, no. This is getting even worse. Hold on.
It's on the chair.
Now we have a problem. Oh, boy. 10 minutes to Wapner. Here we go. All right.
Give me a kiss, Potato.
Wow.
I love you, Potato.
Talk to you later, sweetie.
Text me later, Potato.
I will.
Thank you, Potato.
Eat ketchup. It's good for you. And concluding the potato news. God, I don't know what I look like in this. After a chilly start, we warm right back up today in terms of the weather, so don't put away that tanning olive oil. Sun and clouds will mix early in the week, giving way towards rain and fall temperatures by Thursday. So, as the potato jokes, keep your eyes peeled. This has been the Potato News with me, Spudward R. Murrow. Good night and good growth. Talking about Mayochup and magical poo. Does the show get any better than that, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it does, because we have so much more to do on this edition of Dave's Gone By. We've got Vincent James, the musician, talking about Kids Music Day with Rabbi Saul Solomon. That's coming up. We have Dave's Big Dictionary and the word transmit to talk about later. We'll have StoryTime with a Bill Cosby story about Little Bill. We'll have a limerick about Brush, Colorado. All of that and a Saturday segue of songs in the news. But before we get to that, let's get a little more cultural, shall we say. Let's be a little higher toned, because I've been a theater critic for so many years. I like to talk about the theater. I like to talk about what's going on and off Broadway, sometimes in Colorado as well. We do that in a segment called Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Inside Broadway we go for news of the Rialto for this week on this Saturday, September 29th, 2018. Well, a big solo hit just a couple of weeks ago off-Broadway was the return to off-Broadway of Mike Birbiglia. He did a solo show called The New One, because he's a stand-up comedian. He's also an actor. He was in an Amy Schumer movie about 2 or 3 years back, and was very good in it, in fact. But his solo comedy, I think it was sold out. People really liked it. The critics liked it. So, just like that, they're bringing it to Broadway. It's going to be coming to the Court Theater, and it's not like next season or in the spring. They're opening it a month from now. They're going to start previews on October 25th, and then 2 weeks later opening for a limited run through mid-January. And it's all about Mike Birbiglia's recent life of being a new father and all the other stuff that's going on in his life and world. He's a pretty funny guy. The show ran just in August at the Cherry Lane Theater, and Birbiglia, I remember him from 15 years ago. He did that solo Sleepwalk with Me, and he turned it into a movie, and now he's finally turning it into a pretty famous guy. And you can see him on Broadway, Mike Birbiglia, The New One, that's going to start in October and open in November at Broadway's Court Theater. Well, tomorrow, big day for Broadway lovers, for people who love Broadway memorabilia, because it is the 32nd annual Broadway Flea Market and Grand Auction in Schubert Alley. And of course, all the proceeds benefit Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. It's going from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Schubert Alley is right between 44th and 46th Street and 7th and 8th Avenue towards Times Square. Not quite at Times Square, a little lower down. But they're going to have more than 200 live lots, auction lots, Broadway stars galore, memorabilia, VIP seats to shows, backstage meet and greets with the stars of the show's autographs. I mean, this is going back many, many years. I went to the first couple of these, and I was collecting playbills back then, so I would just load up boxes and boxes of playbills, and they were 25 cents or 50 cents a piece for playbills from the 60s and 70s, and I might pay a little bit more for something a little bit older, but you never know what you're going to find. Cast albums, cast CDs, tons of posters, and yeah, sometimes you get real great bargains. Sometimes they're not such great bargains, but then again, all the money's going to charity. So it is the Broadway Flea Market tomorrow in Manhattan from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. Well, I mentioned early on that two Broadway shows opened this past week, because we're starting to ramp up towards the fall season on Broadway. Well, one of them was this show right here, Bernhardt Hamlet, starring this lovely lady, Janet McTeer, and this fine gentleman, not sure who I have to look him up on IMDb. But yes, this new play by Teresa Rebeck, a very prolific and good writer. She also writes a ton for television. But if you saw, let's see what her other shows were. She wrote Mauritius, that made it to Broadway, the popular off-Broadway comedy Spike Heels. She also did that one about the college, this writing group, like this college professor who's kind of mean, and these wannabe writers. He's a published author, but he may have plagiarized. Anyway, she wrote that one. The name of it escapes me. But Bernhardt Hamlet, Teresa Rebeck's latest play, opened this past Tuesday in a roundabout theater production at the American Airlines Theater on 42nd Street. It's directed by the greatest name in Broadway history, Moritz von Stoopnagel. Isn't that great? Moritz von Stoopnagel. He directed Hand to God a couple of years back, so he's known for doing comedy. This is a comedy drama about the true story of actress Sarah Bernhardt. Back in 1899, she was basically the most famous actress in the English-speaking world, had didn't really conquer movies much, but she was just the thing on stage back then. And she's like, why can't I play Hamlet? I've done all the big female roles. I've done a whole bunch of other stuff. Why can't I tackle this role that every male actor, potentially a good male actor, got a crack at? So she did in 1899, and people advised her against it, and she had worries about it, and people were for or against her. So this is the story of her choosing to play Hamlet. She's played in this show by Janet McTeer, who won tremendous acclaim a few years back for being in A Doll's House on Broadway. Dylan Baker, that fine veteran actor, he's in the show. Jason Butler Harner, the cabaret guy, he's also in the play. It is a world premiere. They didn't even try this out anywhere. They brought it straight to Broadway. But how did the critics like Bernhardt Hamlet? Well, Greg Evans, writing for Deadline.com, he did. He says that Janet McTeer gives a star turn in this spirited, funny, new play. He warns that Act 2 gets a little bit talky, but it's rescued by a really cool surprise towards the ending. So a thumbs up from Greg Evans of Deadline.com. Barbara Schuler, writing for Newsday, she says that it is an intelligent and yet uneven play, but McTeer commands the stage from the start. Words fly by at a torrential pace, faster than even I talk, I guess. It's difficult to keep up. Still, we forgive the flaws of this stimulating work. So also a thumbs up from Newsday. Variety, not a little bit more on the fence. Marilyn Stasio writes, Janet McTeer's enthralling performance makes Bernhardt a sexy, proud, and fashionable woman, but the play itself lacks conflict, despite some critics of the time disparaging Bernhardt for taking on Hamlet, because few adversaries seriously challenge her in this play. It's a dynamic character study, but for all its shining moments, it's not a play. So that's Barbara Schuler's criticism of Marilyn Stasio's criticism for Variety of the play. And also Adam Feldman, he gave it a marginal thumbs up in Time Out magazine. Adam Feldman writes, the play can be confusing. Janet McTeer is an accomplished naturalistic actress, but Bernhardt was known and mocked for being grand and grandiose, which is true. In fact, there's a famous review that we learned about where George Bernard Shaw, no less, who was a theater critic, was pitting Sarah Bernhardt against Eleanor Duse and saying that Duse is the new wave. Duse is naturalistic. Duse is believable. Sarah Bernhardt, for all her glory and grandeur, is just pure gesturing. It's hollow vocal theatrics with nothing behind them. And it kind of led to the waning of Sarah Bernhardt's reputation. And yet what this critic is saying about this play is that the way Janet McTeer is playing Bernhardt, she's almost more like Duse than Bernhardt. Anyway, the play still succeeds on inside theater terms, and Janet McTeer is incapable of being dull. You just know she's going to get a Tony nomination for this. So, well, thumbs up certainly for the actress from Time Out. The New York Times' Jesse Green, he loved it. He said the play is so clever, it uplifts, and so timely that it hurts. So thumbs up from the New York Times, which is pretty big. And Entertainment Weekly's Leah Greenblatt gave it a B+, which is a good grade from Entertainment Weekly. She said the set by Beowulf Borat is ingenious, the costumes by Tony Leslie James are dazzling, and Janet McTeer is a natural force. Anxious, imperious, vulnerable, funny, and fierce. So on the whole, mixed to very positive reviews for Bernhardt Hamlet on Broadway, Roundabout Theater production. Wouldn't be surprised if they extend it a week or two, since it's kind of an industry theater. What am I saying? It's a theater that has a season going. I can't imagine that they could just keep extending it. But I wouldn't be surprised with reviews like that, and with a star diva performance like Janet McTeer, if maybe they'll keep this going past a few weeks. On Broadway at the American Airlines Theater, it's Bernhardt Hamlet. Well, gotta say a farewell, first of all, to an actor who died this past Wednesday at the age of 78. We said farewell to Roger Robinson. He was a Seattle-born actor, and he made his debut opposite no less than Al Pacino in Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie? You also might recognize him from a bunch of TV roles. He had a regular role in Kojak. But Broadway people know that he was in A Men Corner and also half a dozen plays by August Wilson when those were premiering a decade or two ago. As a matter of fact, Roger Robinson was Tony nominated for 7 Guitars, and he won a Featured Actor Tony Award for Joe Turner's Come and Gone. So a big farewell to the late Roger Robinson, who passed this week at the age of 78. Well, I was talking about Janet McTeer, all these reviewers reviewing this show that is on the cover of the current issue of Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway, which you should find out more about. You should go to performingartsinsider.com and find out how to subscribe. Why? Because every page has information for the Broadway insider and the theater lover. The guide to the Broadway season. The guide to all the theaters and what's playing in them. A guide to all the press agents handling all the shows and how to contact them. And then a day-by-day list of when shows start, previews, open and close. Not only on Broadway, but off and off Broadway as well. Show after show. Every single show on every stage of New York. And then we get to the meat of the magazine, the Broadway Guide. Every show with comprehensive information. All the people involved. Look at all those folks involved in Anastasia. And their email addresses, their phone numbers. These are all the producers here in the middle. These are the writers, the director, the cast, the technical people, some notes about the show, the awards it may have won. And we do that for every single play and musical. Look, there's Come From Away, I think. Oh, no, that's the band's visit. There's Beautiful, the Carole King musical. Whether the show opened recently or years ago, they're all in here. And as I said, not just Broadway, and not just Broadway upcoming. These are shows that haven't opened yet. They'll be happening soon. Here's American Son. Here's the revival of Burn This, the Langford Wilson play that's coming. All the information about those. And then we move to, even deeper in the magazine, the same thing about all the off and off Broadway shows. Look what's playing. Let's see. We've got a show called Agnes, Apologia, Arizona Justice, At the Illusionist Table, and of course Avenue Q. From the very well-known to the barely known at all, Performing Arts Insider has it all. And you get it 21 times a year, or you can just subscribe to the monthly edition. Find out more, again, by going to performingartsinsider.com. You can also grab a single copy if you're in Manhattan by going to the Drama Bookshop or Theater Circle in Midtown. And also, I just want to remind you that the fine folks who put out Performing Arts Insider also have a website called totaltheater.com. And the cool thing about that is it's free. You can go right there and read literally thousands of theater reviews from New York, all over the country, and all over the world. As a matter of fact, if you go to the What's New page, you'll see a bunch of links to shows that are currently running everywhere. And if you go to one particular link, because sometimes the search engine's a little hinky, but if you hit the link and see all the reviews, there will be a list of every show, on, off Broadway, regional theater, festivals, international theater. Every show is linked there of the close to 6,000 shows reviewed on the website. They're all there free in the Criticopia section of totaltheater.com. Do check that out. And we are all about the theater here in this segment of Dave's Gone By, where we welcome again David and Wayne and Jolinda and Cat Ann and Tony. Hey, Tony, I missed you. Welcome. He said he's coming in late. Better late, of course, than never. Karen and Chauncey. Welcome, Chauncey. All our friends joining us here for Dave's Gone By. Remember, we've got more stuff coming. We've got Dave's Big Dictionary. We have our Limerick. We've got StoryTime to do for you, and a Saturday Segue. We have songs in the news, as well as talking to musician Vincent James. But right now, we're in the middle of Inside Broadway, giving you Broadway news and the scoop. Well, I mentioned that 2 Broadway shows opened this past week. One was that Bernhardt Hamlet show. Another was a zany comedy from England called The Nap. It's by a playwright named Richard Bean. Now, he wrote the very funny comedy One Man, Two Governors a few years back. So now he's back. The show is directed by Daniel Sullivan, and it opened on Thursday at Manhattan Theater Club's Samuel J. Friedman Theater on Broadway. And so what is this one about? Now, who knew? You figure The Nap, right? No. It's about pool, or as the British do their version, snooker. And the nap is actually that green felt stuff that you play pool on. That's why they call it the Nap. So it's about this snooker championship, and gangsters are involved, and one person has to win and might not win, and it literally leads to, I don't want to give too much away. I haven't seen it, but I've read that, like, the big final sequence is an actual pool game. One of the people in the cast is a ringer, a real pool champion. So he might win, and then it ends one way, or he might not win, and the show could literally end another way. So it sounds pretty fun, and supposedly funny and gripping and exciting, but do the critics agree? And they loved it in London. Did they like it here? Well, really split vote on this particular show. For example, Greg Evans, writing for Deadline.com, he really liked the cast, but he said that the play, quote, gets disappointing fast. It goes downhill, and he just lost interest rather quickly. Frank Rizzo, however, writing for Variety, writes, there's in-the-moment drama as the audience follows on large overhead projections as the game is played. Tensions are broken by laughs derived from the hush-speaking commentators. The show delivers a solid shot in the corner pocket, and the entire cast scores big. Meanwhile, Jessica Dershowitz, another B+ from Entertainment Weekly. She liked it. She liked the zippy banter that moves the show briskly, and like the other critics, she really liked the charming lead actor Ben Schnetzer. She was charmed by the play as a whole, in fact. However, Chris Jones, writing for the Chicago Tribune, he marginal thumbs up. He says that it is a lively, snarky, and deftly structured comedy. However, Daniel Sullivan's production is filled with too strong comic exaggerations, and also it's underpaced, and it really doesn't get going until the exciting finale. So kind of marginal, and that review makes me wonder that if you give the Nap another week or two for everybody to settle in, because it's not the same cast as in England, they got to bring in a lot of American actors, they'll all get in tune with each other and really bring up the pace of the farce. So, maybe see it in a week or two and it'll really find its footing. But I don't think Terry Teachout from the Wall Street Journal will think this play ever finds its footing, ever, anywhere. He despised it. He said that the show is relentlessly, incapacitatingly unfunny. I sat silently praying for the Nap to end. So really all over the map. Whereas Bernhardt Hamlet was generally positive to strongly positive, this is just like blech, hated it. So yeah, this was an entertaining, enjoyable, and occasionally gripping show. Guess you gotta go to the roundabout and make your own mind up at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater for The Nap, directed by Daniel Sullivan. Well, we even have a bit more inside Broadway news for you on this edition of the Dave's Gone By program. For example, news came just late last night, not completely unexpected, but that Kinky Boots, the Broadway hit, long-running Broadway hit, Kinky Boots, is calling it a day. It's taking off its shoes. You have some time, though. So on April 7th, 2019, Kinky Boots will close at the Al Hirschfeld Theater. The show opened back on April 4th, 2013, so by the time that it closes, Kinky Boots will have run more than 2,500 regular performances, and it will have been the 25th longest-running show in Broadway history. Of course, Kinky Boots has a score by Cyndi Lauper. It's got the book by Harvey Fierstein, and I do believe it won the Tony Award for Best Musical of that season. So yeah, if you've never seen Kinky Boots, it is totally worth your while. I mean, I went in not expecting much. I knew it was another musical made from a movie. It was more of a cult English film, so it's not like a popular movie like Pretty Woman, but still, I'm like, okay, and they're going to adapt it, and it'll be this and this, and I came out, I wouldn't say a huge fan, but it is really well done, really enjoyable. There's a great dance number. You like the main character, you like a lot of the subsidiary characters in the factory. Definitely worth a look, or even a second look, if you've never seen Kinky Boots, but you don't have that much more time. You have until April to see Kinky Boots on Broadway at the Hirschfeld Theater. Okay, a little bit more Broadway stuff. Want to want to tell you about. First of all, we lost a Broadway press agent this past week. I know, let me let you know, I talked about them when I was talking about Performing Arts Insider, but we lost someone who was in the trenches of Broadway. Press agents are the people who market Broadway shows, in a sense. Now, they're not the advertising firms. They don't make commercials or things like that. But they are the folks who are in charge of getting the word out about a particular Broadway show, and also getting all the critics and the pundits and the people who are on TV and radio and writing for magazines in to see the shows during press weeks, and then coordinating the response. So if you get 30 critics into a show, and 15 of them like it, the press agents work with the producers to say, okay, and with the advertising people, hey, these are some good pull quotes that we have. Leave the ones aside who didn't like it, but look, we can do a whole sheet of wonderful quotes about this show. They are involved in that, and they're involved in sort of the promotion, sometimes stunts that they'll do to keep a show in the minds of the public, to get a show out there. So, that's what a press agent does. We lost one of, in some ways, the most venerated press agents that we've had over the years. A fellow named Merle Debuskey died. He was 95 years old. He died this past Tuesday at the Actors' Home in Englewood, New Jersey, presumably of old age. In fact, the death was announced by his longtime friend, my former boss, a guy who ran, or still runs, Playbill. And so I guess they were friends for a period. Anyway, Merle Debuskey, born back in 1923 in Baltimore, Maryland. He was raised Orthodox Jewish. I did not know that. He served in the South Pacific during World War II. All good. You know, he wanted to be a journalist, but he got rejected to write for the Baltimore Sun. So I wonder if that made him develop hard feelings for journalists down the line. Anyway, he fell into producing almost by accident. Joe Papp was doing some little off Broadway thing. He asked for Merle Debuskey's help. The show flopped, but they developed this lifelong love-hate relationship. He must have fired and rehired Debuskey 50 times, apparently. But he was in Papp's corner when the latter fought for free Shakespeare in the Park, and he was checked at every turn by the government and by New York bureaucracy, and Debuskey says, keep fighting for it. In fact, this is a great quote, when Joseph Papp was asked to charge at least something to do Shakespeare in the Park, make people pay $2, $3, whatever. And Debuskey told him, look, I will do anything in the world for free Shakespeare, but I won't work for cheap Shakespeare. Great quote. I'll give him that. And he also did cute press agenty things, like he publicized the Larry Gelbart satire Mastergate, and was all about, kind of post-Watergate satire there, by sending out shredded press releases. Very cute, very clever. He also fought and won to keep the title How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. People wanted him to convince Frank Lesser to shorten it. And in very heated arguments, Debuskey fought for the longer title that we all still know and love today. He helped, I think it was Zero Mostel. Mostel injured his leg, and Debuskey found him the right doctor, so he was able to keep his leg. He did a lot of fine things, Merle Debuskey did. And yet, I will say, and I'll say to everybody watching and everybody who knows me and has known me, I will say good riddance to this man. I despised him. Okay, why did I despise Merle Debuskey? What did he ever do to me? When I was a young, up-and-coming pup of a theater critic, and this is going back to about 1989, 90, 91, I was a little guy out in Long Island. I had my degrees. I had a master's degree in film, and I was pretty smart guy, learning the ropes of how to write about theater. I wanted to be a playwright. I was a playwright, but I also got into, almost by accident, reviewing shows and trying to take them apart, figuring what makes them work, what doesn't make them work. And I got the opportunity here and there to publish. I was able to publish in places like the Long Island Examiner, this forgotten local publication. And occasionally I would get a review in Stages magazine, which is run by a friend of mine, Frank Scheck. He now writes and has been writing for the Hollywood Reporter for a couple of decades. So I write for them. And eventually I would get a review here and there into Theater Week. This was, I think, before that. But I started publishing even my own little pamphlet or mini journal, mini magazine called This Week on Stage. And it was basically an outlet for me to get all these reviews out. I wanted to review every show. I wanted to write about them. I wanted to share my viewpoint, my writing with people. But I was not just writing for them. I was writing for the Long Island Examiner. I was writing for, God knows, a couple of other places here and there, too. Later on, I would write for Backstage and places, and Entertainment Weekly. I wrote a piece for them. But I was still young and new-ish. I had already joined one or two of the reviewing organizations, I believe, like Drama Desk and Outer Critics Circle. So I would approach press agents, as all my colleagues did, as all these folks who wrote about the theater, who reviewed theater. You call up the press agent and you say, hey, I'm writing about this. Could I please have press seats to see and review this show? And most of the time, it took a little time for press agents to know who I was, to accept me into the fold. But for off and off Broadway, no problem. I mean, remember, we're talking about the late 1980s. So tickets to off-Broadway, tickets to off-Broadway were probably $8 to $10. And off-Broadway was about maybe 10 to 15 or 18. And then Broadway tickets back then, you could get orchestra seats to some of the hottest shows on a Saturday night. It wasn't going to run you more than $30 or $40 for those tickets. It wasn't $180 to see a show. It just wasn't. So, you would, and it was also rough times for Broadway. This was before the Disneyfication. This was before they salvaged. So I started reviewing in the years when over the summer there might be 12 or 13 theaters open in late summer. That was it. Everything was closed. You see marquees for a show that closed 8 months earlier, and nothing else came into that theater, and they just left the old marquee up. Those were the times on Broadway when I first started reviewing theater in the late 1980s. So this is the milieu that I'm coming into. So I'm asking critics to see shows off Broadway, no problem. And some press agents accepted me virtually immediately. They said, oh, sure. Oh, please. They had off-Broadway shows that they were desperate to fill the house. If they weren't giving the tickets to me, they'd be giving them to audience extras instead, or to senior homes, just to have butts in the seats. So they were going to throw me a pair of tickets. It was fantastic. They get a review out of it. Other shows, okay. Broadway, sure. It's a higher level. It's a different idea. And most press agents were fine. They say, sure. Sometimes they'd say, no, sorry, show's already open, or you're not on this particular list. Sorry, but please do review this off-Broadway show, etc. It took a few months for me to build my cred and to establish these relationships. As this was going on, there was one particular office, and they were handling Lincoln Center at that point. So there's two theaters in Lincoln Center. There's the Vivian Beaumont, which is their Broadway house, and then the smaller but still fairly large and rather beautiful Mitzi Newhouse Theater. And they're both in the Lincoln Center complex. I talk about them all the time. And they were being run by their press was being done by Merle Debuskey and Associates. And I would call for tickets to see and review shows at Lincoln Center, both of those theaters. And it wasn't that they would deny me tickets, because that was kind of their right. That was their purview, to say, hey, you're not, just writing for a big enough paper, etc. It wasn't that I was denied some sort of right of passage. It was the manner in which they did so. It was the astonishing meanness and rudeness of this man, of Merle Debuskey. I would get him on the phone. He would bark at me, hang up on me. Which, it's one thing to be nice and deny me something that I feel I should get or is somewhat entitled to. It's another to treat me like poo under your shoe, which is exactly what he did. And he did this to other, I learned much later that he did this to other critics on my level as well. If you weren't writing for one of the major dailies, he may have felt, and the producers may have felt, hey, it's wasting a pair of seats that we could have sold, and yeah, he might write a review, but who'll read it, and who the hell is he? So, but instead of saying nicely, no, I'm sorry, try again next time, or if you get into a larger paper, we may consider you. No. It was like, oh, go away, no. I mean, literally, that rude, that gruff, that mean, for no reason at all. And I wouldn't just call. I wrote letters to, this was in the day when you actually had to put letters in an envelope and mail them to people. The internet was there, but you were still writing physical letters. And I could give people who could recommend me that I was a legitimate person, that I wasn't just going to sit there, get a free ticket, and not give back, not write something, not do my part of the bargain. And this would happen repeatedly. Every time there was a show at Lincoln Center, or any show that he was representing, I think he was away from the Public Theater by then, maybe not. He might have still been at the Public Theater as well. Because I don't remember seeing much of the Public Theater until a bit later on. So he was just a miserable, nasty, evil son of a bitch. And I say this even more so, by the way, that and the proof of this was he had another press agent working for him. This other fellow, and I literally, if I could remember his name, I would, but I honestly don't. And he was a little Irish fellow, and he was just as mean as Merle Debuskey. If I got him on the phone, he was just as bad. He'd start yelling at me for the impertinence of asking them for theater tickets to review a show. He would just be horrible on the phone. And then this guy moved to another press office, this little Irish fella. And weirdly enough, he turned into the sweetest, nicest fella. I wouldn't say we became friends, but we became positive acquaintances, had no problem with him. He was nice. He would joke on the phone. We'd joke when we'd see each other at the theater, And I was like, this same guy? And it was the same guy, because later on he went back for a little while to work for Debuskey, and he turned into the same mean piece of shit son of a bitch. So obviously, the head rots from the top down. So all I can say is that here's this man who could have been a decent human being, even saying no, even saying, sorry, you're not well known enough, your venue isn't important enough, or even couching it in nicer terms. Because you can couch things in perfectly nice terms and still deny someone. If you go into a fish store and they're out of fish, the person can say, oh, so sorry, tomorrow we'll have the mackerel in and I'll give you a 10% discount, whatever. No. He was so belligerent and so nasty again and again and again. And they try to make him out this grand old man of press agents and how important he was, and even my colleague at Playbill ended up writing the man's biography. Eventually I was working for Playbill.com. I was running that website, Playbill.com, for a couple of years. Okay, my colleague there, a co-writer who moved up also to an editorship, he ended, of all people, he was going to write a biography of. He chose Merle Debuskey, to tell his story, and I was kind of livid in my heart to give this guy more cred and more publicity. So, finishing my thought, Merle Debuskey, 95 years old. They say only the good die young. This is kind of true about that. Lived to 95 at the Actors Home, and I know he did fine things, and I know he was a friend of the theater, and I know he fought for us in World War II. Not taking any of that away from this man. But at the same time, I do, in my heart, dance on this guy's grave. He picked a fight with me for absolutely no reason. Never apologized, never made a rapprochement. I would see him at events, and he might sort of look at me like he didn't even know me, and I would just turn away from him. So fare badly to Merle Debuskey. Screw you, and I hope you're in hell for a certain period of time. Not forever, because he did nice things for other people anyway. But if you do a couple of decades in hell for the way you treated me, I'm all for that. So, Merle Debuskey, bye. Hell with you. Anyway, we have another dead person. A dead person I have absolutely nothing against. This is very sad to know that back on, just yesterday, Joe Mastroff died at the age of 98. And he, amazingly enough, he died in the same home in Englewood, New Jersey, the same actor's home that Merle Debuskey died in. And he also served in World War II. But this guy, Joe Mastroff, he did some other things for the theater. He wrote the book for a little musical called Cabaret. Yeah. That Joe Mastroff. Let's see. Well, he served in World War II, as I said, studied playwriting at the American Theater Wing, and he wrote a play in 1959, The Warm Peninsula, which was a minor hit. Julie Harris was in it. And then he wrote 2 books for musicals that will never be forgotten. First, he wrote the book for She Loves Me. Now, this is a show that did pretty well back in the day, and its reputation just gets more and more burnished. It's a pretty terrific musical, She Loves Me, in 1963. And then he went on to write the book for Cabaret. He also did the book for 70 Girls 70, which is another Kander and Ebb show that they did in 1971. And he worked on a bunch of musicals that never actually came to Broadway. But oh boy, he did make, thank goodness, 2 years ago, he made the Theater Hall of Fame. So, a big farewell to Joe Mastroff leaving Broadway. And we're going to give him a Dave's Gone By send-off by playing a little bit, as much as we can get away with copyright rules, from the original 1966 Cabaret featuring Lotta Lenya with What Would You Do?
With time rushing by, what would you do?
Okay, again, I'm very, very sorry I have to pot that down. When you listen to the archives of this program on my website, davesgoneby.com, I will try and play most, or if not, the whole song. So you can hear it there. It's one of the lesser-known songs that didn't make the movie, and therefore people don't know it as well. But almost every song in Cabaret is just great. It's Kander and Ebb, of course, but with Joe Mastroff on book. By the way, it is 11:03 in the morning, Mountain Time, here in Greeley, Colorado, with me, Dave Lefkowitz, doing the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. We are live this September 29th, 2018, coming to you from the auspices of the University of Northern Colorado, my office here. It is our 668th episode of the show. We've got StoryTime to come. We've got Saturday Segue of Songs in the News to come. We have our Dave's Big Dictionary to come. So much fun stuff. But funnest of all is Rabbi Saul Solomon is in the house, and he's going to be talking about something fun but also important. The idea that children should be exposed not to priests but to music. It should have music in schools. It should be connected to their teachings. Students should be getting music lessons or being able to pick up instruments on their own. Whatever it is, music is tremendously important to a child's development. Well, to further that idea, this guy, Vincent James, started something called Keep Music Alive. It's a small, non-profit organization, but they're trying to do a bunch of different things, including this Friday is Kids Music Day all over America. I don't want to tell you about it. Rabbi Saul will tell you about it, and more importantly, Vincent James will tell you about it too. Here's a little bit of music by Vincent himself, and then we'll bring the rabbi in, and we'll bring Vincent James in to the Daverhood.
Hi, this is Vincent James, co-founder of Keep Music Alive and Kids Music Day. We're celebrating the 3rd annual Kids Music Day this Friday, October 5th. And I'm talking here this morning with Rabbi Saul Solomon on Dave's Gone By.
Oh, shalom, my friends. This is your old pal, Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And let me tell you something. You've heard the old quote, the old phrase, music hath charms to soothe the savage breast. Well, my titties are filled with music this morning because I get to talk to a man who cares a great deal about music. In fact, he wants to spread music like a beautiful disease across all the children in America, which is why he and his wife founded something called Keep Music Alive. It's a foundation. They have something called Kids Music Day, which is devoted to the importance of bringing music into the lives of children. And it's happening this Friday, October 5th. All over the country, there's events like performances and instrument donation drives and instrument petting zoos. I don't know what the hell that is, but we're going to find out. Celebrity endorsers include people like Julie Andrews and Nancy Wilson and Todd Rundgren. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk musically and delightfully with our guest in the Daverhood, Vincent James. Shalom, Vincent.
Shalom, Rabbi Saul. How are you?
The usual aches and pains, but music takes my mind off of them, mostly.
Yes.
Mostly.
Yes, absolutely, mostly, right.
So when did you realize that you yourself was a musical person?
Well, Rabbi Saul, it goes way, way back, so far back, and I sometimes have a hard time recollecting, but I think it was in my elementary school years. I remember a couple memories come to me. I was homesick from school one week, probably had the flu or something, and I tell you what, that little clock radio and that 70s music was my friend for that whole week. And that's one time where I really realized music was just really so important to me, and soon after I started playing the trombone and the piano. And there was another funny thing is when I was a kid, my friends used to always say to me, "Why are you always singing everything you say? Can't you just talk like a normal kid?"
So you sang everything?
To them, it seemed like I did. I always have like a melody in my head and my mind, and, some people see pictures, I see melodies.
Oh, that's it. Wow. A, that's kind of interesting, and B, okay, I get the piano, but trombone. What made you pick up a trombone?
Well, I have to tell you, that's an interesting story. So, 4th grade, elementary school, picture it, this is the first year where you get to, pick an instrument you want to play, you tell your parents. All right, so I come home that first day, and I tell my mom and dad, I really want to learn how to play the guitar. And they're like, no, try again. So I go back to school the next day, and I come back home that afternoon, and I say, how about I learn how to play the drums? And they say, no, even louder. Like, no way. We're not making that noise in this house. So that is how we settled on the slide trombone. And I played that all the way through school, 4th grade, all the way through senior year of high school, marching band, concert band, orchestra, all the different types.
Wow. Did you ever, you have done professional music, but coming out of school, did you think you were going to be either in an orchestra or bands or a rock band?
Well, I never really knew what I was going to be. I knew that music was going to be a part of my existence. I just didn't know how it was going to play out. When I was in high school, I used to, live in the band room. Like most kids, they would go to, cafeteria for lunch, or if they had study hall, library, or whatever. Me, I was parked in the band room, usually sitting at the piano most of the time.
Oh, at one time the music teacher caught me playing with my organ, but that was something disgusting and rather different. But this is kind of... So you had music in your life with piano, with trombone. You started writing songs of your own?
Yes.
When did you write your first song?
I probably wrote my first song, I was about 16. And my first song was actually a co-written song that I had somebody who brought to me a set of lyrics, and they said, can you put music to this song? And I still remember the song. It was called Words for a Friend. And this was like the mid-70s, 75, 76, 77. I don't remember exactly. Jackson Browne was really big at that time, and I think the music ended up coming out kind of a lot like a Jackson Browne song at the time.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, somewhere in a TED Talk that you gave, you said that you've had jobs all over the music industry. You even repped bands. Not repped. What's the... You managed bands, didn't you?
Yes. For a moment, I thought you said I wrecked bands. Some of them, I wrecked them. But
hopefully you did not do that. No, but, what bands did you manage?
Well, so these were mostly, local, regional bands, starting out, and there was a number of different bands playing, different rock music. I helped to book them, promote them. Usually things would start going really well, and then somebody in the band at some point would start to self-destruct, and I would just kind of have to walk away and say, you know what, I don't think I want to do this whole managing thing because there's just too many personalities to manage, and I have a hard time managing my own.
Yeah, fair enough. So, What was the impetus, though, to start a not-for-profit organization?
Well, it started out about 4 or 5 years ago, where, we were looking around at what was going on in the music world. They were talking about cuts in music and arts education was one factor. And then there was the factor of the whole digital revolution that we have upon us, right? Where kids today growing up can listen to pretty much any song they want, whenever they want, however they want, as often as they want, and they don't have to part with any money, right? There's no babysitting money, lawn cutting money, paper route money, or anything changing hands there, right? Like we had to do when we were growing up, go to the 5 and 10 and put our money on the counter. So kind of saw that music was being devalued in our minds, so we wanted to start something to kind of join the voices pushing the other way of highlighting just how important, music education is for kids and for adults, the many benefits they can get from playing an instrument.
But it's funny, you could look at this the other way and say that kids who don't make a lot of money, who are really poor, for $10 a month, they can listen to basically any song that was ever recorded. Isn't that better in some ways than back in the day when, say, I was growing up and you had to pay $10 or $12 for one album at Sam Goody's?
Oh, absolutely, Rabbi. So I totally agree. I mean, it's a blessing that we have this digital revolution, but there are some side effects, and we're trying to mitigate some of the side effects. But I certainly love and enjoy the fact that I can listen to literally a century's worth of music, pretty much at my fingertips, and really be exposed to all different types of music that otherwise I may never have heard.
So, and I think you're saying in some ways that perhaps the freeness of that devalues it, but people still will pay God knows what to see musicians live in concert, even if they don't want to pay for a physical hard copy of the music.
Oh, this is very true, very true. But I'm thinking a lot of the artists that they're going to pay that big money for are artists, what we kind of refer to as classic artists, whether it's the 60s, 70s, or 80s. Mm-hmm. Wondering what, who are the new superstars going to be that are going to last more than 5 or 10 years, that our kids are going to want to go see as classics, when they're adults.
Oh, well, Mordechai Ben David, Isaac Kuchelman, I see him as being huge. The Hebraic Joy Orchestra, you never know. They could be enormous, at least in my circle. You haven't heard of these?
Yes.
Okay. But let me ask you also this. How do you, as the co-founder of this nonprofit, Keep Music Alive, and, of course, of Kids Music Day as well, which you and your wife started, how do you counter arguments by parents and school administrators and principals that say, look, we have dwindling funding and tax funding and money coming into schools. We need to pay for computers. We need to pay for textbooks. We need to pay for teachers' salaries. And that kind of has to take precedence over violas and trombones and ocarinas.
Yes, certainly. And you know what? That is a very good argument, and it is hard to counter that, realistically. But we're just trying to make the argument, the counterpoint that, music and arts, when it's included in a child's education, they actually perform better in all those other subjects that they're trying to save, the math, English, and science, and so on. So finding a way to try to keep arts and music in the schools is actually going to, improve those other subjects, and keep kids in schools longer. Graduation rates are higher when there's music and arts. There's just too many arguments, I think, pushing the other way against that.
So when you have this Kids Music Day, which is happening this Friday, explain what that is as opposed to Keep Music Alive, and what are the events that you're doing all over the place?
So Kids Music Day is a holiday that we founded with the purpose of being able to partner with music schools, music retail locations, and other music nonprofits and organizations all around the world, as you noted, to hold different events. Sometimes they'll do an instrument petting zoo, which sounds like a funny thing.
Yeah, what is that? Wait. What is an instrument petting zoo?
Well, you line up the Fenders and the Gibsons and the Rolands, and you come around and you see which one you like to pet.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
It gives the kids an opportunity to, sit here at the drum set, let me show you a few things, and let me see how you like that. All right, you're not really liking that? All right, come over here, spend 5-10 minutes on the piano. Let me show a few things that you can learn pretty quickly and see how you like that. Kids need to be exposed to different opportunities to experience different things. So sometimes they think they want to do they're so into one thing, but until they get exposed to something else, whether it's music, arts, or sports, or some academic, giving them exposure to different opportunities really opens up their horizons and their creativity, which is helpful for everything.
Now, we want to let people know, if you want to find out more about Kids Music Day, there is a website, kidsmusicday.org, kidsmusicday.org. So you have already people who are acting as quote-unquote ambassadors, famous musicians who have lent their name to this. I mentioned before people like Nancy Wilson from Heart and Todd Rundgren. How did you get them on board? How do you start with a little nonprofit funded by you and your wife to getting people like that who have name recognition to give a thumbs up?
Well, it really comes down to persistence and polite persistence. We reached out to the representatives after we hunted down who their representatives are, because sometimes it's not easy to find them, right? Their managers, their agents, and so on. And then you ask them. And it's a funny thing, in particular with Julie Andrews. We had actually asked her and her people 4 years ago whether she might be interested in contributing a quote to our book series. And we had never heard anything back. And the lesson here to learn is we kept coming back to them year after year, asking different things. And then 4 years later, they actually came back and said, yes, Julie Andrews would love to be a Kids Music Day ambassador. And you know what? We almost fell on the floor that morning.
What does she have to do in order to I mean, is it just lending her name, or does she have to go somewhere, wear a crown, and greet people? Or, what does that actually mean?
You're absolutely right. Being a Kids Music Day ambassador at this point just means that, yes, they're simply lending their name and their image for us to be able to help promote the holiday. They don't actually have to go and be at any particular event. We would certainly love for that to happen, and we think over time, whether it's this year or next year, some of our ambassadors will be involved in the events. But, we're taking baby steps. This is our really fourth year of operation. This is the third annual Kids Music Day. And, it has to grow a little bit each year. It's not something you can just run out of the gate and everything is exactly the way you hoped it would be in the future.
Oh, sure. No, but if you need someone who has to be an ambassador for klezmer music, I'm on board. You can use my image.
All right.
You can use every single part of me, including the beard. I'm happy to do it in name only. I don't have to be paid. Free food would be nice, but no. Just say Rabbi Saul says that all kids should be exposed to klezmer music at some point, and I'm for that.
We're absolutely going to have to chat about that, Rabbi Saul. I think where you're going.
Wonderful. Now let's also chat about, you mentioned a book series, but I want to talk about one particular book that I think is your latest one, 88 plus ways music can change your life. What's in this book?
So the book is kind of like a chicken soup for the music lover soul book would be, if you remember the Chicken Soup series.
Oh, of course I do.
Full of inspirational music stories and quotes from musicians and a few non-musicians from all around the world. There's some stories that'll make you laugh, some that'll make you cry, some that'll make you shake your head, say, what is that about?
Well, give us one that'll make us laugh. What's an amusingly funny one?
An amusingly funny one. Well, let's see. So this one has kind of its poignant moments and a chuckle here. So there's a gentleman by the name of Miguel, who was a shaman out in California, and his mother was always very, blessed by the arts and interested in music, and she happened to be a high school teacher and also after that a college professor. But shortly after she retired at 65, Alzheimer's disease started to claim her brain, and it wasn't long before she had to actually, be put under 24-hour care, and the family wasn't really able to take care of her. One day, Miguel, he would like to visit his mother as often as he could, and one day he took her out, on some of the errands he had to run, so she would be, with him, and he could be with her. So he's driving down the highway, and just out of the blue, he starts singing this song that, his mother used to sing to him when he was a child. And it's a song in Spanish, because they're originally from Cuba. And he's singing the song, and then just out of the blue, his mother, whose head is normally down in a catatonic state, her head comes up, and she starts singing with him this song in the highway, all the words, all the melody, and he just about crashes the car. He just can't believe it. His mother's been in this state for a very long time, and she's snapped out of it because he started singing this song from back in the in the past, from her time when she was young.
Amazing the power of La Cucaracha, I'll tell you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, La Cucaracha, La Cucaracha.
I'm just joking. No, that is a sweet little story. You also have a story, I think, from a guy who was in the band Bad Company.
Yes, Mr. Simon Kirk, who's the drummer from Free originally. All Right Now was their really huge hit, and among others, and then for Bad Company. And Simon was giving a drum clinic in the UK several years back. And, he's up on the stage, and he's playing, demonstrating different drums in this, this fairly large auditorium. The lights are out, so he can't see the people in the audience. And as he's doing his different demonstrations, he starts hearing this clicking sound coming from somewhere. He feels like it's coming, somewhere in the audience. He can't really identify it. But Simon's professional. He just, kind of just puts it out of his mind and continues with, he's demonstrating different drums. He's pulling out different percussion instruments. And just off and on, he just keeps hearing this clicking sound. And, if you're a drummer doing percussion and you're hearing clicking at a different rhythm, it kind of might throw you off.
Of course.
But, he's trying to keep it together. And then, but throughout almost the whole presentation, this clicking sound's going on. And he's starting to get a little worked up, like, who's making this blast clicking sound when I'm trying to demonstrate the percussion instruments. So finally he comes to the end of the demonstration, and the house lights go up. And for the very first time, he can see in the back of the auditorium is a row of wheelchairs. And there are kids who have muscular dystrophy, and they're holding drumsticks in their hands. And they've been playing with him the entire time. And let me tell you, I think his heart just about fell out of his throat. He jumped off the stage. He ran to the back of the auditorium. He kneeled down next to each and every one of them and shook their hand and said, "Thank you. Thank you so much for playing with me today. I really appreciate it." I think, the first time we read that story, every time I tell that story, I get chills. I get a little tear coming. It's just it's such a powerful reminder that you never really know what the real situation is in life. And you never really know also how music is touching people of all walks of life.
Well, you are trying to touch people with music, and even more so the idea of the importance of music with your foundation, Keep Music Alive, and also, of course, this Kids Music Day that is happening this Friday. For more information about our guest, Vincent James, go to vincentjames.com, and, of course, to kidsmusicday.org. I do have one or two more quick questions for you. You also in the book about the 88 plus, what was that? The 88 ways music can change your life. You have a Harry Chapin story?
Yes. It's a very short little clip. It comes to us from the drummer who played with Harry Chapin, and I'm so sorry his name escapes me at this very moment. But Harry, was going to the Grammys for the first time. This is, he had a song that was really big at the time. And he was walking into the building, where they were holding the Grammys. I believe it was in L.A. that year. And as he walked in, he was starting to walk in, there was a doorman opening the door for him. And the doorman offered to, hold Harry's guitar as he was coming in. Harry was going to perform that night. And there was just a little bit of a mishap, and all of a sudden the guitar dropped, and it ended up being stepped on and broken right at that moment. Just foot through the guitar. And many musicians, many people, you had that happen, such a big night for you, and then all of a sudden your instrument that you're used to playing on is destroyed right in front of you. You might be worked up a little, but not Harry. Harry was like, the kid was like, he was a kid, was probably like 20, 21 years old. He was freaking out at what he had just, helped happen with Harry's guitar. And Harry was like, "No, bro, don't really worry about it. It's okay. It's all fine. It's all good." And the drummer for the Harry, just wanted to relate. That was the kind of person that Harry was. He really never let things get to him, never let things bother him, just a steady hand.
And the whole rest of the night, he played trombone, which is kind of interesting.
They supplied him with the trombone, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And last question for you, Vincent James, is I'm just wondering, what is your favorite song of all time?
Oh man, Rabbi Saul, that is such a hard question.
I know.
But I'm going to shoot to you one that just happens to be one of my all-time favorites, and that has to be a song by the band Genesis called "Behind the Lines."
Any particular reason? It just hits you in a certain way, or why?
It has an incredible instrumental introduction. It probably goes on for about 3 minutes. It could be its own song. If you listen to it, it's really powerful. And I often listen to it prior to doing interviews or, anytime I have to do an important phone call. It just pumps me up. It gets me going. And then the rest of the song, it just has a lot of meaning to me, the lyrics, just from different situations in my life from years gone by. And to me, it's just that those 6 minutes of a song, but you never hear that on the radio anymore. 6 minutes, right? That's way too long. But it just really moves me. And, if you haven't ever heard Behind the Lines by Genesis, I encourage you to check it out.
Well, I got to tell you one thing here is that Vincent James and I now have two things in common, because one is that we both love music and believe in spreading that around to people of all ages. But now you love the band Genesis, and I love the book Genesis from the Torah. So we're on the same page, as it were. And it's been an absolute joy to have you in the Daverhood. Vincent James from Keeping Music Alive. And I hope it keeps you and your lovely wife alive for many years, and that your organization just grows and becomes even more musical and beautiful as the years go by. Vincent James, thank you for being with us in the Daverhood.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you, Rabbi Saul. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Shalom to you.
Shalom.
Rabbi Saul, he's the man, isn't he? Talking to Vincent James. Do find out more about Kids Music Day and also Keep Music Alive. I think they are very valuable and worthwhile causes that are founded by this fella and his wife. So thanks to them for being in the Daverhood. And thanks to all of you for tuning in to this program. Folks like Jolinda and Kat and Tony and Jeff and Stan and Chauncey and Karen and Joyce and bunches of other people. It's great to have you. Great to see you. Great to do this show every Saturday morning. Well, we got more to do. We got some music to play in our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. We're going to be going to StoryTime because, we finished the book last week. We have a new book for you. God help us. It's The Meanest Things to Say, a Little Bill book from the one and only Bill Cosby. Yeah. And our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. But I was thinking about this. Early in the show, and we do this most shows, my darling and adorable wife Joyce picked up the dictionary, this one right here, with 75,000 definitions in it. And she at random thumbed through it and looked for a word. And my job in this segment is to figure out about 5 minutes or so of something to say about that word. Could be an anecdote, a story from my past, stuff that's in my head about it, whatever comes to mind, just really picking that word at random and then putting me on go. And so today's word, well, you know what? Let me first play the theme music. Gotta do that. Extra, tell all about it. It's Dave's Big Dictionary. Dave's Big Dictionary it is. And so the word that she picked, which sounded kind of blah when I first heard it, but now that I've been thinking about it, may be one of the most important words for me in all of my life, in all of what I end up doing. The word for Dave's Big Dictionary this week is transmit. Transmit. And here, let me, if I can actually read it from the dictionary without glasses. I really should bring in a pair. Here we go. A verb, of course, to transfer from one person or place to another, to forward, to pass on by, or as if by inheritance, okay, to cause or allow to spread abroad or to another, as in transmitted disease, to cause as a light, electricity, or a force to pass through space or a particular medium, to send out, radio or television signals. Synonyms include convey, communicate, impart. I think you can see already where I can go with this one and why transmit is so important to me. I mean, just from being a child, right, in the modern era, born in 1964, so already TV in the living room and one or two of the other rooms by then, radio in the car, radio when I wanted to listen to it. There was always this sense of people out there trying to communicate with me trying to tell me something interesting, trying, best of all, to make me laugh, trying, because I was a learner-type kid, trying to make me think about things, trying to teach me stuff I wanted to know if it was public television. I might watch Sesame Street or Electric Company and not actually be learning anything because it was stuff that I already knew, but I might stay tuned for Hodgepodge Lodge and learn a little bit about frogs, or learn osmotically from the way characters behaved with each other on Sesame Street of how a community works, even though I took my cue more from Oscar the Grouch than from Ernie or Bert. But this idea that somewhere just through the wires, or as Van Morrison would say, the wireless, people could reach me. It was fascinating to me many years, 40 years ago, when we got a little portable radio and it had a short wave on it. And suddenly it was a new avenue. Because I knew AM radio. I was listening to FM radio. But here's this idea, now that we take incredibly for granted, that if I tuned in just the right thing, right frequency, I would get some weird broadcast from, if not the government, from England, from Radio Free Europe or Radio Free America. I mean, I remember I was already watching Monty Python on TV, and suddenly hearing I'm Sorry, I'll Read That Again, which featured John Cleese and other British comedians in a radio show. That wasn't on our radio. It was on a short wave. I tuned it in, and like on a Saturday afternoon, just trying to find that frequency on the dial and not have it be too staticky and not lose it, to just grab all those signals coming from somewhere. These people who wanted to talk to me. It's kind of, eventually I got old enough, I started listening to Howard Stern. I'm becoming a Howard Stern fan, and there was that sense again of him talking to millions of people, but also trying to make me laugh and push the envelope and say things that, you're really thinking, but you would never say. But he would say them. And even listening more recently, again, to someone I should have listened to when I was younger, but the 1950s and 60s broadcasts of Gene Shepard, and how special he was at this transmitting of information, entertainment, and just pure personality. This idea that without even seeing him, without knowing what he looked like, and eventually we did, because he had a TV show, and he was kind of well known, and then he did A Christmas Story. But when he was on the air, you could guess things about him, and probably guess wrong about the way he looked. There's a funny thing that they do on the radio program from NPR, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And the host there, he has this great, lively, funny radio voice. He's just the perfect host for Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, Peter Segal. But when people call in and they say, I had this image in my head of what you looked like, and then they actually see him, because there's a couple of pictures on the web, or he might have been interviewed somewhere, and they see that he's a short, little Jewish balding guy. And it really doesn't match the voice of what people have in their heads. And he always jokes about how disappointed they are that his look doesn't match what they imagine he is from hearing him. But either way, that level of communication, of seeing him, of this idea that just through sheer personality and voice alone, he is a better host for that show than almost anyone else could be, just for who he is, because he's able to transmit that aspect of himself to the world at large. And of course it became so important to me as I got older and wanted to somehow transmit the stuff that was up here. To quote Bob Dylan, I need a dump truck, baby, to unload my head. It's here, and I don't want it all stuck in me. I want people to hear my jokes. I want people to care about what I think about, even if they disagree with me. I want to have my thoughts, my ideas, myself, on some level, transmitted, understood, and appreciated. And, that sounds very egotistical and self-centered, as artists tend to be. But anybody who's on TV and has done radio or has done theater or film and is listening to this, you understand. You know what that is. You know how meaningful that is. You know why I wanted to be on TV. You know why I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was in my teens, and I went for that at New York University. And then I said, okay, if I can't really do it, I'll write plays. And they'll hear me that way. And I'll watch people in their seats laughing at the stuff that I wrote. And even up to the past few years when I do one-man shows, and I try and get the best of both worlds. So I try and make them laugh with the craft of my writing and maybe disagree or agree with me or get excited about something or angry about something. But at the same time, I'm putting myself out there, the full transmittal of Daveness. And doing this, and this is like the perfect word for right now, because next week is the 16th anniversary of Dave's Gone By. We started on October 6th, 2002. Next week it will be October 6th, and we will begin our 17th year of programming, God willing, of Dave's Gone By. What would make a person do this? Would I want fame? Would I want to be on NPR? Would I want to be on CBS or NBC or Fox or MSNBC? Grab me, take me now. Free. I'm already doing this for free. Why do I do it? Because the transmittal, this coming from me to you. And when I was doing this on the radio all these years, and just the radio, and there was a sense of, there might be 4 people out there listening, or 2, or none. There were times when I thought we were transmitting, we were broadcasting, and there was a technical glitch, and nobody was listening, right? But in your head, you hope. You hope you're reaching one person. At the same time, you hope you're reaching thousands. That's why it's so meaningful to me, so important to me, when I see the list of people who tune in, or the people who write in, send me messages, send me emails during the week, and I'm like, okay, I am transmitting. I'm out there. Not everything I say is golden. Sometimes I run off at the mouth. Sometimes I say stuff that I want to take back. Rarely, but sometimes I do. And sometimes I get off the air and I forgot to mention such and such. But it's all about the conveyance. And my whole life is that, in a way. I've been a theater critic and a writer, transmitting my thoughts and opinions. I teach here at UNC. I teach not literature, unfortunately, not playwriting, unfortunately, but I teach English. I teach basic grammatical composition and not so basic research paper writing. And I'm not one of those professors, and ask any of my students, I'm not somebody who sits in a chair, hidden by a desk and a PowerPoint, and drones on. I drone a bit, but I'm up there. I'm running around the room. I'm trying to lock eyes with people if they can put down their goddamn cell phones for a minute. But I'm out there. Is it because I care about English? Yeah, I do care about English. Is it because I really want them to be great writers or decent, competent writers? Sure. But it's also like I'm taking 75 minutes out of my day to tell you this stuff, to try and reach you in some way and convey to you these things that all these other teachers are doing. We're all working on some level from the same syllabus. They're doing it their way. I'm doing it from mine. But for me, it's important to transmit this information the way I do it. So whether it's through transmitter towers that were sending my voice out over AM signals or FM signals, right? Or through wires, doing internet radio, or now through Facebook, which is transmitting image, which I never intended when I started this show, and voice, and keeping these shows as podcasts that you can listen to later, and begging people, if you missed a live show, go listen to the archives. Tell your friends. Tell neighbors. Get people to listen. Even if they hate me, let them give me a try. Posting my stuff on YouTube so that I'm out there. And I don't see that ever really changing. It's not that I couldn't work a 9-to-5 job. Not that I haven't worked a 9-to-5 job here and there and managed it if I liked the people enough. But some part of me will always have to be performative. Some part of me will always have to be this, trying to push this out into space, out into other people. Be it 1, be it 10, be it 100, be it 1,000, hopefully, and someday 1,000,000 or 10 million. Won't happen, but somewhere the hope is that I will be able to transmit my Daveness to as many people as I can, as often as I can. And that's why 15 plus, almost 16 years later, I'm still doing this. A show called Dave's Gone By where we do Dave's big dictionary. All right. Listen, do I have some outro music for Dave's big dictionary? I don't think I do. Let's just have the intro for it. So, anyway, we're going to move on. We got more to do, by the way. We still have a Saturday Segue of songs in the news. We still have Friends of the Daverhood to talk about. And, of course, we've got Storytime coming up. Oh, yeah. But before all that, let's get cultural again. We did some Broadway stuff before. Let's turn poetic.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain,
Limerick time indeed on Dave's Gone By. So, as I mentioned several weeks ago now, got just an idea in my head to write a funny little poem about a city or a town in Colorado. So I did one. Then I did another. Then I did 3 or 4 more, and I realized I can make a lot of these. I can do these little limericks, 5-line poems, and if you know limericks, they tend to be comical to the point of dirty or offensive. Yeah, my kind of transmitting of humor. And so, yeah, I now have about 60 or 70 of these limericks, and each one is about a different town or place in Colorado. So today's Colorado Limerick of the Damned is about the town, or actually small city, of Brush. Brush, Colorado, in Morgan County, population about 6,000 people. It was named for a Colorado cattle pioneer named Jared L. Brush. It's an agricultural town, mainly best known for having the largest amateur rodeo in the United States, woohoo, as well as, check this out, they have a discarded former prison, and they've been talking about turning it into a center for treatment of autism. So, okay, pretty cool. Brush's motto on brushcolo.com, brushcolo.com is, I swear to you, and this ends with an exclamation point, homegrown happiness. Homegrown happiness for Brush, Colorado. Let me tell you something. I went to Brush, Colorado, several months ago on a job interview. And I didn't get the job from this high school. Fine, whatever. Seemed like a perfectly okay high school. I don't have any hard feelings necessarily about that. But even if they'd given me the job, even if they were wonderful to me there, I gotta tell you, this town, man, it had nothing. I would walk up streets and half the stores were empty. It was like the recession never ended. One person would say, you've got to check out the big thing in town. The big thing in this town is a thrift store run by, shall we say, special needs people. I think I told this story. I went there and was just surfing through the used books. And I'm poking through. I'm not looking at anything expensive. I'm literally just sorting through maybe some paperback books I want to buy. They're cheap, 25 cents a piece, whatever. But while I'm doing this, the woman at the counter is just giving me this look of like, you're stealing. You're a horrible thief. Where I'm keeping an eye on you. And it didn't even occur to me. Because it was such a strange place. And this was the coolest place in town. And as I bring the things up to the counter, and here's this woman, she's giving me this look, and then it turns out that not only is she mentally problematic and slow, that she has one of her eyes is all wrong. She's basically blind. So she's not really staring at me, she's staring through me. And literally, the way that she's able to tell nickels and dimes and quarters and stuff is they have a visual chart on the table in front of her with various circles of varying sizes. So she could put the coin on the circle, and if it was bigger than the circle, she knew it was a quarter, not a nickel. But I didn't feel bad. I just felt, what a creepy-ass place. And I get out of there, and more empty stores, and there's one diner, and so it closed in the middle of the afternoon. Maybe there's a whole other section of Brush And of course the school looked like a school. Well built, lots of people in it, children of varying ages. Where the fuck did they all come from? Because the town was abandoned. There's nobody around. Nobody on the streets in the middle of the afternoon because there's nothing to do. All the kids, they're in school. Where are the grown-ups? I guess they get the hell out of Brush and work in the real place. But anywho, with that in mind, I wrote a little limerick for Brush, Colorado, for our Colorado limerick of the damned. If there's a place that's damned, it's Brush, Colorado. So here we go, our Colorado limerick of the damned. A tender young lady from Brush would turn all the young men to mush. They'd start in one hole, but then lose control and slide halfway into her tush. That is our Colorado limerick of the damned, ladies and gentlemen. Don't blame me. Blame this mind that has to transmit things. Every week on Dave's Gone By, we do a Colorado limerick of the damned. I guess after that, as usual, I forget to warn people to take children out of the room. But you might choose to bring them back, or you might not. Depends on your feelings about this fella. Because it's time for story time.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. Remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
It is story time, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I started doing this a few months ago because I had found a book at local auto place called A Cow for Hansel, and people just loved that. We had a wonderful time. So I read that book, and then I read another book in a day, and I'm almost forgetting what that one was. And then, of course, last couple of weeks, we've been doing the delightful and the rather masochistic Vegetable Friends, in which all these adorable little vegetable characters tell people to eat them and how to cook and mash and boil them. It's a very, very strange idea conveyed by that book. But now we have something else. Speaking of mashing, I found this at Potato Day, as a matter of fact. Oh, boy. Where they have a book sale, and I couldn't resist. This is a series, it was even made into an animated series, I believe, that was shown on one of the children's channels. I don't think they show it anymore. But Bill Cosby's character, Little Bill. Yeah, Little Bill. Supposedly, like when young Bill Cosby was young Bill Cosby, and I guess prepubescent, so he hadn't done anything actually wrong yet. Bill Cosby, the meanest thing to say. Ooh. Illustrated by Varnett P. Honeywood, and it is a scholastic book, which I doubt will go into many reprints for a while. But here we go. Little Bill, here's and he presents it on the back cover. There he is with that smile. That's a smile of prison number NN45743. Great stories about kids just like you. To win the game, Little Bill must say mean things to the new boy. But wait! Can Little Bill be a winner? And a nice person, too. This is written by America's most beloved comedian and storyteller. Okay. Little Bill books affirm the value of friendships and family relationships, and they encourage children to solve problems fairly and creatively. Each book features a letter to parents by child psychiatry specialist Dr. Alvin Poussin. So, it's for grades 2 to 4, ages 6 to 10. Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin. Little Bill, the meanest thing to say. And it doesn't say that it's anywhere co-written by anybody. It's copyrighted 1997 by Bill Cosby, all rights reserved. Cartwheel Books is the publisher. Let's see. Bill Cosby was born in 1937, in case you were wondering. Okay. To Ennis, hello, friend, BC. To the Cosby family, Ennis's perseverance against the odds is an inspiration to us all. And that is from the illustrator, Varnett P. Honeywood. Here we go, and here's the friggin' letter to the parents. Let's see if there's anything funny here. If there isn't, I'm just going to skip over it. But, dear parent, sooner or later most children on the street, the playground, or at the Playboy Mansion, meet other children who are deliberately mean. When this happens, there are several options for a child who is being picked on. I wish I'd gotten this book when I was in my teens. Too often, the picked-on child's immediate response is either to fight back or to attempt a protective retreat. Retreating is preferable, since fighting back will certainly escalate the conflict and may result in injury to both children. Not the best solution. Okay, Alvin Poussaint, what's the best? This story presents a sensible alternative course of action. Yeah, buy a gun. With guidance from his parents, Lil Bill learns to cope with a hostile child by controlling his own reactions. At school, he manipulates the confrontation without stooping to be mean himself. Heeding his father's advice, he gains the upper hand. I don't want to give away the book, so I don't want to read the rest of that part. But these tactics, she says at the bottom of this, may not always be practical. But this book shows your child that there are ways to resolve conflicts with other children without losing face or resorting to violence. It's called Finding a Good Jewish Lawyer. In the process, a misbehaving kid may have a chance to change and be welcomed as a friend. This is by Alvin Poussaint, clinical professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, and co-written by Judge Baker of the Children's Center of Boston, Mass. 02134. Okay, here we go. Here's the first chapter. The book is like 12 pages long. It's got more than one chapter. But here's chapter 1 of Lil Bill, the Meanest Thing to Say. And let's just show the visuals on this. Kind of Horace Pippin-looking illustrations for appropriately enough for these African American characters. Here we go. Hello, friend. My name is Lil Bill. My teacher is Miss Murray. And look, oh my God, just starting the day, 9 o'clock in the morning. Oh. One day, a new boy, Michael Riley, came into our class. It didn't take long for him to start trouble, just until recess. And look, Michael Riley's just blowing bubble gum already. Ooh, he's evil and mean. He's got the pink bubble gum there. In the matter, he's gargling with special poo. That could be. Here we go. I walked to the basketball court with my friends, Andrew, Jose, and Kiku. I'm sorry, if you've got someone named Kiku, they deserve to be picked on. Oh, worse, check this out. My cousin Fuchsia was waiting for us. She's in a different class. Now, you got Kiku and Fuchsia. That would make me a bully. I'm sorry if you have people with names like that. But here they are on the basketball court, and there's Fuchsia wearing fuchsia. Uh-huh. Jose was dribbling when Michael showed up. Probably should have, had a handkerchief because he's as juicy as I am. I know a better game, Michael said. It's called Playing the Dozens. You get 12 chances to say something mean to a person. The meanest thing wins. I'll start, Jose said. Andrew is a lousy basketball player. Well, not a great amount of wit there. Let's see how this... and so he's playing basketball there with his shoe sort of coming off and kicking the ball. What happened? What will happen next? Oh, I wonder. Jose hops with the frogs in the 6th grade lab, said Andrew. Yeah, that's... Oh, boy, does that mean. But Andrew eats frogs for dinner, Jose said. I've eaten frogs for dinner. They're delicious. Okay. Kiku looked sick. Uh-oh. You shoot like a girl, Michael said to me. I shoot like a girl, said Fuchsia. She took the ball, walked back a few steps, and aimed. Swish! A perfect shot. Yes, baby, she said. Michael pointed his finger at me. I'm not finished with you, he said. Just then the bell rang. Tomorrow, Michael said. Believe me, I have been in this situation and dealt with Michaels there. Although they didn't have these pink rosy cheeks. And children did not wear rouge when I was going to school. Maybe that was I think back in Bill Cosby's day. Chapter 2. Oh boy, the saga continues. I couldn't do my homework. I was thinking about what to say to Michael tomorrow. There had to be a million mean things to say to him, but I was so mad that I couldn't think of any. Really? When I'm mad, I never have trouble thinking of really mean, horrible things to say, I'm telling you. Oh, look at this, look at this. Oh, look at that bedspread. That's an actual quilt right there in Little Bill's room. I stood on my bed and flexed my muscles. I started jumping and yelling. Little Bill is a special child, isn't he? Watch out, Riley, man. I am the best, the greatest, the smartest kid in the world. Soon my mother was at the door. Young man, stop jumping on that bed. You'll get older and you'll do that to women. Stop jumping now, said Mom. I jumped down with a loud crash. Not exactly the proper sound there. I went to the dinner table. Macaroni and cheese. Fantastic! My great-grandmother, everyone calls her Alice the Great, was already at the table. Well, Bill, what was all that noise about? She asked. I'm getting ready for a contest tomorrow, I said. A boxing match? Asked Mom. Where does that even come from? A kid is jumping up and down on the bed shouting. He has had no inclination to box or do fisticuffs before, and yet the mother says, a boxing match? What's wrong with her? It's called playing the dozens, Mom, because you have 12 chances to say something mean to the other guy. I'm going to make a list of 1,000,000 mean things to say. If I study that list really hard, I can't lose. That's when my dad walked into the kitchen. I think you can guess what his name is. It's Big Bill. And this is kind of cute. See, don't even see the head there. His dad, Big Bill. And you know, Cosby respected his father, but at the same time, he was kind of afraid of Dad's discipline. Hey, buddy, what's this I hear about studying? Big test tomorrow? He asked. No, dear. Our son is in a contest, Mom said. He has to come up with 1,000,000 mean things to say to someone at school. When I was a boy, we called that ranking, Dad said. And speaking of rank, yeah, I still have this. Upside down there. This new kid said that I shoot like a girl. Dad shrugged his shoulders and said, so? Dad, Michael Riley is a creep. So? Dad, he's bad. My dad was about to say it again. So? Is that all you can say? I asked. So. He's talking about 1,000,000 times. When I looked around the table, everyone was smiling. It's easier than studying 1,000,000 mean things. He got up and jumped around the kitchen like a boxer. He raised his hands in the air and said, I was the world's ranking champion. And the rest of us said, so? That's actually pretty funny. I'm going to give Cos 1 point for that one. And you know what? I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to leave you in suspense for what happens to Lil Bill. And we'll finish up this book next time. The Meanest Thing to Say, a Lil Bill book. And as we said, really the meanest thing to say to Bill Cosby is, call me a cab and why are my panties off? But, it's noon, Mountain Time, here in the Daverhood. The Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. Dave Lefkowitz here, the 668th edition. We're calling it Mayochup, in honor of the arrival of Mayochup everywhere in America. We have a little bit more to do. We still have a Saturday segue of songs to play, and, we'll get to that in a moment. But I want to thank all the folks who have tuned in. We're not done yet, by the way. I know we say that we air from 9 until noon, or thereabouts. This is the thereabouts portion of the show. And I thank people who tuned in earlier, who stay tuned in the whole time, who are just tuning in now. Welcome to the Daverhood. And I also thank the folks who take part in the show. My darling and adorable wife, Joyce. I'm pointing to air because she left about 2 hours ago, but love her. Thank you to everybody watching and listening, and thank you to Vincent James. Remember that his organization is called Keep Music Alive, as well as Kids Music Day. So he is now a friend of the Daverhood. He is someone who has appeared on the show, and we'll keep tabs on what he's up to in the months and years ahead. We do that to all the friends of the Daverhood in this segment. So yes, the friends of the Daverhood, people who have appeared on the program, maybe they were in a show, or they wrote a book a long while back. Yeah, That's nice and low. Or maybe they did, they were in a movie or are making a movie now. What they were doing then is different from what they're up to now, and we're going to let you know all of it. So, for example, tonight at the Studio Theater in Lindenhurst, Long Island, Jackie the Joke Man Martling. And I mentioned Howard Stern before. Every time I mention something Jackie's doing, I literally feel, I go right back to listening to Howard Stern 30 years ago, closing his show, telling us where to see Jackie Martling. But yeah, tonight he's at the Studio Theater, StudioTheaterLI.com to find out more. And another comedian, Stevie GB, he is at Broad Hollow tonight at the 50-plus comedy tour that is in East Islip, New York. And then on Monday, the very lively pianist and singer Mark Nadler, he will be at Guild Hall on East 29th Street in New York, Mark Nadler. Or you can see an absolute master of cabaret as well at Birdland, Steve Ross. For more information, go to birdlandjazz.com. And hey, since we're talking about Birdland, after Steve Ross on Monday night, of course, is Jim Caruso's cast party. He does it every Monday night at Birdland. Now, moving on, we've got on Tuesday, October 2nd, Rita Garner sings Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt at the Beechman Theater, and that's directed by our friend Jeff Harner. So, yay. It's Rita Gardner. I left the D off of that. Rita Gardner, our friend, she was in the Fantastics all those years ago. She's honoring the writers of that show, and Jeff Harner is directing. That is at the Laurie Beechman Theater in the West Bank Cafe. Alan Lewis Rickman, you will have only one more chance Wednesday night to catch him in the extended, it was playing and they added a few more dates, to Tevye Served Raw at the Playroom Theater. This is a one-man show where he's doing other stories by Sholem Aleichem about Tevye the Milkman. That is Wednesday night at the Playroom. And then Wednesday through Friday, at Birdland, it's Anita Gillette in Me and Mr. B. Mr. B being Irving Berlin. She's going to sing a bunch of Berlin songs. Anita Gillette at Birdland. Lynn Collins is directing Educating Rita right here in Colorado at the Arvada Center. That is happening from October 3rd through November 11th. In Arvada, Colorado. And I mentioned Jackie the Joke Man. He's having a busy week. He and Stuttering John Melendez will be at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead. That is this Friday night, October 5th. SuffolkTheater.com for more information. If you go see Antigone in Ferguson, depending on the night that you see that play being read, it's at Harlem Stage, and some nights Tamara Tooney is in it. So you're definitely going to want to catch her now through the middle of October. Also now through mid-October, Uncle Vanya being adapted and directed by our friend in the Daverhood, Richard Nelson. That is the Hunter Theater Project. It's J.O. Sanders, the actor, in there. He also is a friend of the Daverhood, so they're both involved. The New York Times gave this production a rave a couple of weeks ago, so you probably want to get down to see Uncle Vanya at the Hunter Theater Project. Now through the middle of October, if you're in Chicago, go see Tootsie, which is co-created by David Yazbek. He's the composer, and also our friend Julie Holston is in it. Now, that show is set to come to Broadway this spring, but if you want to see it in the tryout in Chicago, you can do that now through middle of October. And now through later in October, if you're in Chicago, you can also see the new solo show by our friend David Cale. It's called We're Only Alive for a Short Amount of Time. That is at the Goodman Theater. Oh boy, we have our Austin Pendleton alert. Every week, Austin Pendleton's doing something. He's acting, he's directing, he's teaching. This time, he's directing Tennessee Williams' not-so-well-known play, A Lovely Sunday for Crève Coeur, at the theater at St. Clement's, with, check out the casting here, Christine Nielsen and Annette O'Toole are in this Tennessee Williams play, directed by Austin Pendleton, now through late October. Also, towards the very end of October, from now, you can still see Desperate Measures, a hit off-Broadway musical at the York Theater with music by our friend David Friedman. Playing now through early November, Robert Calfin. He is directing a play called My Parsifal Conductor. It's a comedy about anti-Semitism, I guess in that German era. This is at the Marjorie Dean Theater up on West 63rd Street. Bob Kelfin directing My Parsifal conductor. Now, we mentioned Tevye before. Don't forget that the National Yiddish Theater is staging this wildly acclaimed revival of Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish. The music director there is our friend Zalman Mlatek, and of course the lyrics to Fiddler are by our friend Sheldon Harnick. I keep wondering if they're going to move this to Broadway, but it's certainly doing very, very well off-Broadway. Fiddler in Yiddish. I guess I should call it Yidler. Anywho, School of Rock with lyrics by our friend Glenn Slater. That's still at the Winter Garden Theater now through early January. The Band's Visit, a wonderful musical with a score by the aforementioned David Yazbek. That's at the Barrymore Theater. It's an open run, but they're on sale through February of 2019, so you can buy tickets for the next few months. Come From Away, also in an open run at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater, co-written by our friends Irene Sankoff and David Hine. In terms of acting, you've got Daniel Breaker in Hamilton and LaChanze in Summer, both Broadway shows. I want to remind you that Evan Seplow, our friend, founded and runs StageBuddy.com, a fine website of New York nightlife. Dr. Demento still doing new Dr. Demento shows and archiving the old ones at drdemento.com. Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake co-hosting Two on the Aisle on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, while Eva Heinemann hosts her show High Drama, also on mnn.org. And finally, a shout-out, of course, to Bob Cudmore, doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Well, it is about 8 minutes after 12 Mountain Time here in Greeley, Colorado. With me, Dave Lefkowitz. What a fun show it has been so far. We've had Dave's Big Dictionary. We've talked to Vincent James. We did our Limerick. We did a Bill Cosby story, God help us. We did Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We went Inside Broadway. We got time for one more big segment for you. One that I admit I used to have a little more fun with because I could play more music, but I can still play a bit of music when we do a Saturday Segue. Let me see, I do have an intro for our Saturday Segues. Extra, extra, hear all about it. We provide the rhymes, you provide the reasons. It's our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. Pretty exciting, huh? There's an intro for you. But it's Songs in the News. The idea is, if you're new to the program, if you don't know already, the idea is that I will play a song, part of it, and your job is to guess why I'm playing it, because it will have some connection to something happening in the news. So maybe the song title, maybe the author or the singer of the song, could be the theme, what the song is about. That's your job. Sometimes I make them easy, sometimes make them almost impossible, but that's what it is. It's a Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. We begin with the now solo artist, former Husker Du man Bob Mould. Why would I be playing this?
And I know now and you know as well, so we're not alone.
Unfortunately, he doesn't mention the title of the song in that intro to the tune. That is Bob Mould there from the Life and Times album going back to 2009. Well, okay, I admit that's really, really tough. And I had a tough time finding the appropriate song to play for this. But the name of that Bob Mould song is The Breach. The Breach. Not the Lodge, The Breach. Why would I play The Breach? Well, you may have heard a day or two ago that Facebook said that up to 50 million users might have been affected by hackers over the past couple of weeks. What happened was they got in through this feature on Facebook called View As, which allows you to look at your site the way other people see it So your Facebook page, it says, what does your Facebook page look like to someone else? We have that here at UNC on Canvas, where you have a student view, and you're certainly seeing the Canvas shell through their eyes. Well, Facebook did that. Unfortunately, there's a glitch in the system that they're fixing very quickly and alerting the authorities about. So that is why we played Bob Mould singing The Breach, because they're patching up a breach in Facebook that very likely we could have been affected, or 50 million of us, even if essentially we haven't been or haven't been yet. So that's how Saturday Segues of Songs in the News work. I play the song or a little bit of it, and you figure out why. So here's another one. Gotta go back almost a week for this piece of news, and it's one of the rare pieces of happy news that we get to talk about.
I've got a tiger by the tail, it's plain to see.
What a great voice he had. Man, what a singer Buck Owens was. I mean, we may not take him seriously because he was on Hee Haw, and I'm not a big fan of country music, but you hear such a fabulous tone, bell-like clarity to the voice of Buck Owens there, playing from the 21 #1 hits collection by Buck Owens. Did you know why I played that? You kind of got the title there. You know what that song is. I've Got a Tiger by the Tail. I've got a tiger by the tail. On Sunday, a week ago, at East Lake's Bridgestone Invitational, Tiger Woods won his first major championship in 5 years. This was his 80th Tour victory, plus it made him part of the Ryder Cup. Now, unfortunately, they had a bad day. America did at the Ryder Cup yesterday, and Woods' pairing lost, and America was up 3 games, and then they went down 5-3 to England. They just kind of fell apart later in the day. But whatever happens in the Ryder Cup, just Woods coming back from everything. He has had major surgeries, had knee surgery, 4 major back surgeries, plus some stuff that we can't like him very much for. He pleaded guilty to reckless driving under the influence, not of alcohol, but of medications back in 2017, got probation. He had a difficult personal life with his wife, Aylin. He dated and split with Lindsey Vonn for a while. I mean, he cheated on his ex-wife, and remember that day he crashed his SUV and she had to get him out with a golf club? I mean, he behaves sometimes like an asshole, which is annoying because all the golf commentators look the other way. And everybody wants to look the other way because he was such a phenom. Because if he wins 1 or 2 major tournaments at this stage again, he will be the greatest golfer in the history of the game. He was almost there. He is already arguably there. Arguably greater than Jack Nicklaus and even Arnold Palmer or Snead or some Chichi Rodriguez. I mean, Tiger, and coming back the way he did last Sunday, was staggering. It was quite amazing. So as much as you just want to wish him well because he's so important to the sport, you kind of wish he was nicer, better, in a manner of speaking. And doesn't it seem like so long ago? It was 1997. He was 21 years old and won his first major. So in 21 years, he put together 80 career victories on major tours. I mean, come on. So Tiger by the tail, whatever happens in the Ryder Cup. I mean, obviously I hope the U.S. turns things around, but you got to give him credit for what happened last Sunday. And he was building towards it too. He finished 2nd or 5th in a couple of other things. He was climbing. He was getting back there. There's just something special about him as an athlete. Anyway, that was Tiger by the Tail. And now, let's hear some spoken word material of somebody that we've already been talking about. Sugar time.
We're going to talk about women. Women and men and boys and things. Because women, when they blame their husbands for pregnancy, are out of line. It is not the man's fault.
Yeah, let's put the blame where it should be. Let's put the blame on women, Bill. Not a lot of people laughing, and this was back in 2005. So it was still not big, I mean, sub rosa, you might have heard the comments about Bill Cosby, but yeah, he was still doing his thing. He was still funny, and if you listen more to the routine, it does get kind of amusing. But Bill Cosby with a the title of this track from his 2005 album is called It's True, It's True. Title of the track is It's the Woman's Fault. Swear to God. Go find that album. That's the track title. It's the Woman's Fault. Well, Bill, whoever's fault it was, Bill Cosby is in prison now for at least 3 years, up to a maximum of 10 years, and alongside, because he was found guilty, he's getting mandatory sex offender counseling for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand 14 years ago. He went literally straight from sentencing to prison in handcuffs. The nice thing, I guess you could say, is it's a brand new state-of-the-art facility, a federal prison, but it's also a maximum security prison, probably for his safety as much as anything else. So it's time, right? Cosby was also forced to pay $25,000 fine, as well as the cost of prosecution, and he will forever, for however many years longer that he lives, he will be classified as, quote, a sexually violent predator. So that's almost the difference between Cosby and Kavanaugh. Cosby's not being raked over the coals or brought to prison for stuff he was doing in the 1970s and 1980s. This is going back only 14 years ago. So the statute of limitations, once a creep, always a creep. And that's what we're trying to find out now about this judge. Because, if it's this one incident that may or may not have happened back in high school, one thing. But if any of these other women coming forward are credible, it's a whole other kettle of fish. And also, we'll talk about that. I won't give away one of the other pieces that we're going to play in our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. Well, let's get right to it. Here's Tom Verlaine.
Cry mercy, judge. Cry mercy.
From his album Flashlight, Tom Verlaine. You may know that name a little better from a band he was in before then called Television. But yeah, Tom Verlaine and a song called Cry Mercy, Judge. Mercy, Judge. Should we be showing mercy to Judge Kavanaugh? Should he be showing more mercy? He's so far being cordial in his responding to Christine Blasey Ford, who has accused him, back when they were 17 years old, in high school, of being at a party with a friend of his and sexually assaulting her. This news came to light about almost 2 weeks ago. First it was anonymous, and then reporters tracked her down and said, hey, and I'm sure the Democrats tracked her down, and said, look, this guy's going to be on the Supreme Court unless you come forward, tell your story, and try to prove, good luck, but try to prove what happened to you actually happened to you. So she sucked it up. She let her name out there, and after much legal wrangling, allowed herself to be brought before Congress, as did Brett Kavanaugh, to defend himself. Because remember, hard as this is for us Democrats to agree on, he is innocent until he's, if not proven guilty, until the weight of evidence makes us think that, yep, it really was him. He really did it. Now, even Donald Trump said that Ms. Ford, Dr. Ford, was a very credible, believable witness. She obviously underwent trauma and believes that she did, and believes that he was one of the major creators of this trauma, that Brett Kavanaugh was. I don't think anybody's even questioning that at this point. The question was it him, and why is she fuzzy on some details and rock solid on others? And you get psychiatrists to come in and explain, well, because that's how PTSD works. Some parts of it you focus in on and never forget, and other parts just kind of fade into the fog of time. So, watching parts of all this, I don't trust him. I don't like him. Maybe because he seems like the frat boy, party boy that so many guys like him seem to be and probably were back in the 1980s. Now, this privileged prick who had his male friends and they would go to parties and they drink to excess and then behave in more than an Animal House way, because the Animal House guys were trying to get with women, but they weren't trying to get with women who were pushing them off and saying no, which is a very different thing, right? So I really believe he was that kind of guy. Maybe because it's his looks, maybe because after dropping the facade of calmness and coolness in all those interviews, you saw him come back after the break during the congressional hearing, and you could see it in his face. You could see the controlled, twisted rage in him. Imagine that, Brett Kavanaugh. Not the one that you saw being interviewed on Fox News. Not the one who's calmly being vetted for the Supreme Court with all these questions about abortion and so forth. But the one who's really being directly accused by a person. And I know if I were being directly accused and my family were in the mix, I would be full of rage and exploding and smoke coming out of my ears. So I get that. But there was something about his look and his attitude, and the look on his face, and the way he was, that made me think, you take that man, and you put 5 beers in him, and he would not just hold a girl down, but he would fuck and beat her too, whether she liked it or not. I believe that about this man. I think it's important for the FBI. And it's funny, I mean, it's just, there is hypocrisy enough to go around. There is politics enough to go around. I remember Democrats saying, as soon as Floyd Flake said, who was a Republican, as soon as Senator Flake said, you know what, I believed her, I believe him, but because of the preponderance of evidence, I think the vote should go forward. And suddenly all my Facebook friends and these left-wing people are like, I will never listen to Floyd Flake again. He's terrible. He's miserable. And then, an hour later, he's saying, you know what? I'm talking to these people. I'm talking to women who are sexually assaulted. I'm talking to all my colleagues. What would be the harm? And I don't know why I'm making him Jewish. I'm making him Floyd Flakestein. What would be the harm in letting the FBI do its job? We're rushing this. There's an obvious reason why the Republicans are rushing this. What would be so terrible to take another week? And I would say 3 weeks. Give the FBI 2 or 3 weeks to go through not just the high school claim, because Trump authorized a very limited scope on this. But I'm saying if there's 3 or 4 other women who are coming forward, 1 or 2 of them seem not to be credible, but 1 or 2 of them might be, let the FBI talk to them, as opposed to just people at this party from high school. Because that's beyond the statute of limitations anyway, and he was still a minor, I believe at the time. She was, as well. But if you start taking credibility into account of other accusations of when he was already a judge or a lawyer, and there's other stuff there, that's not that long ago. He was a grown-up. Because a case could be made that, do you really think it's fair, even though he wasn't punished then, to take a person who was 17 years old and drunk and punish him for the rest of his life and career for something bad that he did? That wasn't a complete rape. That was an attempted sexual... I mean, it's terrible, it's horrible, I hate him, but part of me also hates him because he's a right-wing conservative Republican, and he's going to vote constitutionally in his brain the way Scalia would have, and he's going to make abortion very, very difficult in this country. So I hate him for all the reasons that Democrats hate him in the first place, and I'm transmitting, some of that hatred into not wanting to believe him, into wanting to get him on this rape thing, even perhaps if he didn't do it, or even if it was as much as he's really drunk, he's fondling her, she finally gets to throw him off, and she does what zillions of teenagers do in parked cars or after proms or in bedrooms or basements or in fields. Go listen to the song Grass by XTC. It's like, the no, the yes, the no, the yes. Did he go too far? If it's true, sure. But he was 17, right? She was 17 too. He wasn't 40. If he did something like that when he was 40, we have a bigger problem. So part of me, like so many of my colleagues, don't want to admit that it's not just about Me Too, that we want this man out of Supreme Court consideration because he's pro-Trump, because he's right-wing, conservative, because he will try to kill Roe v. Wade, most probably, and probably try to put a stop to gay marriage for all that. And because, as we saw yesterday, he was taking his anger out on the Democrats. He said as much as this is a political thing, and if he gets on the fucking court, he's going to have an axe to grind against all these 50-something Democrats who voted against him, right? For the next 30, 40 years if he lives that long. So he is someone to be absolutely afraid of. But the question was Christine Blasey Ford afraid of him back when she was 17 and he was 17? And that's what the FBI should be investigating. And I say, give him 3 weeks. Give him to October 15th, let's say. That would still allow time. It would not be unfair to the Republicans. It would allow the FBI some time to gather more evidence, talk to more people, right? And then maybe a day or two to come out with the findings, report them to Trump, report them to the press and the American public, and then see if there is no smoking gun, the guy's nomination moves forward. And there should be enough Republicans to vote for it because Flake will approve, and probably the two other Republicans who are on the fence who are kind of independent-y. I'm Murkowski, I forget the other name, and there you go. And it will be a very bitter pill for Democrats to swallow, but the process played itself out, and it would happen in time for the Republicans to have a majority in the Senate and the Congress, right? It won't suddenly be just politics of, just let the FBI research this for 2 months until November 11th. I get that. I get that going on behind the scenes. But if the FBI does find something, more credible stuff, a witness who, as they have with Trump in the past, as they have with Clinton, Bill Clinton, in the past, come up with stuff that is truly dirty, then, there will be hell to pay if the Republicans do push through, at that point, this man. Or if they, the Democrats get a huge victory, and it turns out that Kavanaugh doesn't make it through, and then perhaps Congress and the House turn over, or one of them turns over, things could get really interesting. Or Trump would be forced to pick someone really moderate, and probably pick a priest or a virgin, someone with no sex drive whatsoever. If or a woman, right? Another woman on the court wouldn't be terrible. An African American, but a decent one, not like Clarence Thomas. Right? Or if Trump, and I made this comment a few weeks ago, Trump could have really turned around his presidency weeks ago, months ago. All he had to do, he could have changed the whole tenor and tone of the conversation between Republicans and Democrats. All he had to do was, when that first opening on the Supreme Court came due, he could have said, you know what, I nominate Merrick Garland. Because the Republicans stymied the Democrats from getting that guy in the chair. He was qualified. He was absolutely as qualified, if not more, than Brett Kavanaugh. He was denied unfairly. And even though my Republican friends are going to squeal, it is fair to let this guy in. And hopefully the Democrats would have looked at that and said, that is a mensch. That is something that a real president, a real leader, and a real person bringing folks together would do. And then we'll give him the next one. He wants to put in Merrick Garland, who was Barack Obama's moderate appointee. Then he gets to do, he's the president. If he's really right-wing, crazy conservative, we'll brook him and we'll vet him. But he's entitled after that. We get ours, he gets his. There's balance on the court. I think it was kind of funny when, and I'm already forgetting the first person that Trump put into the Supreme Court. But all you could hear from the right-wing commentators, from the Fox people, was how it keeps the balance. It's 5-4 conservatives. So that's a good balance. It's a fair balance. How 5-4 is somehow even. I have no clue what math classes these people were taking. But 5-4 was their idea of balance. And then suddenly 6-3 manages to be balanced. How does that happen? All we can keep saying is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and we watched that documentary about her, just eat healthy, keep doing your exercises, have yourself cryogenically frozen with your brain working, just in case, Ruth B. Anyway, is there anything else to say about the probe, as it were? All I can say is I do give some credit to Jeff Flake for listening to some reason, for balancing the needs of his party with the true needs of trying to find out truly what happened, and if something terrible did happen to this woman at the hands of Brett Kavanaugh. And good for him. And good for him to listening to the Democrats and also to reason. And good for Donald, honest to God, good for Donald Trump to saying at the, really playing both sides, for being very measured and saying, I believed him, I believed her, let's let the process work itself out. And of course he still stands by his man, fine, and Kavanaugh is still innocent until proven guilty. There's no trial here. And he says, I still believe when all this comes out in the wash, Brett Kavanaugh will be on the Supreme Court. He's welcome to say that. But for once, Trump kind of did the right thing in this situation. And then for people to blame him for picking Kavanaugh, picking a molesty kind of guy. I mean, really, if nobody knew on either side about this until 2 weeks ago, how the hell was Trump supposed to know? How did people say, well, the FBI has already done 6 background checks on this man. They wouldn't have found anything wiser. Well, if somebody doesn't come forward, if there's a secret being kept for 30 years, how the fuck is the FBI going to get it? How are they going to figure it out? The FBI figures out things when people tell them stuff, when people snitch, when people complain, when they write letters, when they say, hey, I want to tell you this. And I imagine yesterday, today, tomorrow, they're getting calls. They're getting a phone call here and there, probably most of them useless, pointless, crazy people or people from the Democratic Party trying to derail Kavanaugh's process, but there may be a call or two from another woman, because creeps tend to be serial creeps, or sometimes oatmeal creeps, if you're me. We will see. It's going to be another really, really interesting week. I think the most fun was turning on the TV this morning and putting on Fox and Friends, the gaggle, the trio of idiots from Fox News, and just watching the faces. They all literally look like Grumpy Cat. Rachel Ocampo, whose great claim to fame was, or Rachel Campos, whatever the hell her name is, whose claim to fame was being on The Real World, Volume 3 or 4, and she's just sitting there with like a angry Grumpy Cat face, like, whole time, like, she's exploding with rage, because how dare the Democrats derail this over some woman who couldn't take care of her own pussy, whatever, right? And then the other two guys there on the weekends, like, God forbid we should let the process play itself out and try and take a woman who is obviously suffering trauma seriously. No. Anyway, that was fun. That was fun to watch. So we go from anger now to our last song of our Saturday segue of songs in the news to a bit of sadness.
It's no secret how strong my love is for you. It's no secret when I tell you what I'm gonna do, 'cause I love you, yes I love you. It's no secret.
Okay, yeah, quite a good strong rock and roll voice there, and also a pretty good rock and roll songwriter there as well. A fellow named Martin Gerald Buchwald, half Jewish, actually, just letting you know that, but Martin Gerald Buchwald has died. But you better know him as Marty Balin of the Jefferson Airplane. He passed away on Thursday from unspecified causes. He was not that old. He was born in 1942, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 60-something, maybe 70-something. He started with the folk group The Town Criers, and then he was the founding member. He was the formative person of the Jefferson Airplane. He co-wrote some of the prettiest ballads that they did, like Coming Back to Me. He also wrote Today, which is one of my favorite Jefferson Airplane songs. Volunteers. He wrote Plastic Fantastic Lover, which they said in concert was about a television as opposed to a dildo. And who remembers this? In the movie Gimme Shelter, which was about the Rolling Stones and the Altamont concert, Marty Ballin was the guy who got punched in the face by a Hell's Angel. He was like literally knocked out during that show. I didn't remember this, but Wiki reports that he was in Jefferson Airplane, and the death of Janis Joplin really shook him. This really shook him to the core, and he was looking around at all these people that he was hanging with, and they were doing more and more drugs and more dangerous drugs, whereas he was kind of more psychedelic-y into yoga and things like that. And he figured, this is a lifestyle I kind of have to get out of for a while. So he quit the Jefferson Airplane, made music in other ways. He went back when they were Jefferson Starship, went out at them again, feuding, not feuding with them, doing a song for them. He did a couple of solo albums, and every once in a while he'd go back to Jefferson Starship. And not that much about him over the past few years, except, this is horrible, he had open heart surgery at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York just 2 years ago, back in 2016. And he went through it. The heart surgery was just fine, but he suffered terrible complications following the surgery. The surgeons were fine, but the care afterwards was completely incompetent and unsuited to someone recovering from open heart surgery. So this surgery, check this out, it apparently paralyzed one of his vocal cords. His left thumb had to be amputated, and half his tongue stopped working. Wow. So, unfortunately, I imagine the last 2 years for Marty Ballin, he has a lawsuit, or had a lawsuit, up against Mount Sinai. I don't know what ever came of it. But he did pass away on Thursday. So we remember, Jefferson Airplane, not the best band to come out of the 60s, but a couple of great, important songs. Their first album's pretty cool in a folk rock sort of a way. Then Grace Slick changed the whole nature of the band. And, you're not going to listen to one of their albums all the way through, but songs here and there, pretty terrific. Never liked Jefferson Starship, I have to say. I don't know his solo work, but some of it may well be worth checking out. But we certainly say a farewell to Marty Ballin of the Jefferson Airplane. Another link, another little loss from the 1960s, and the music, even though I'm a little too young for it, because I was born in 64 and didn't really come into it until the 60s were ending. But, another little piece of that moment in time and the most extraordinary musical years in rock and roll history. Kind of sad to know that we've lost another one. Well, we've lost 3 hours and 40 minutes of our lives this morning and afternoon here in the Daverhood with me, Dave Lefkowitz. The name of the program, Dave's Gone By. If you liked what you heard and saw, remember that you can contact me. davesgoneby@aol.com is the email address. DAVESGONEBY@AOL.com. Feel free to email me all week long, or you can, if you're a Facebook friend, you can just message me. Or people have messaged me throughout the show as well, and I love to get your Facebook messages. Remember to tell your friends, remember to tell everyone you know about Dave's Gone By, and that we're here on Facebook every Saturday morning. The Facebook page is Radio Dave Lefkowitz, so like us, follow us, or even in the place where you normally follow, have See First. That's the best one of all, because that means soon as we go on the air or I post anything, you're reminded immediately, you see all the posts, and on Saturday mornings you're reminded, hey, Dave is there. He's with all his potato friends. And he's got a cool bottle of Mayochup with him, too. So, yeah, all of that. You can check my Twitter page, Radio Dave 2, Radio Dave, the number 2. What else? And, let me remind you about Rabbi Saul Solomon, who did that interview today with Vincent James. Rabbi Saul has his webpage, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. And he's got a Twitter feed at Rabbi Saul Solomon. Now, his website is way cool, by the way. You can read and hear his rabbinical reflections. You can watch his stage show, the long version, before they cut it to a one-act. The long version of Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon, and even 10 episodes of his amazing Long Island cable TV show, Shalom Dammit, the Rabbi Saul Solomon's Peace, Love, and Acid Reflux Hour, which is only a half hour long, because that's the way Rabbi Saul rolls. It's all there at shalomdammit.com. So thank you, Rabbi Saul. Thank you so much to Vincent James, our guest in the Daverhood. Remember that this Friday, October 5th, is Kids Music Day. So by all means, look him up. See how you can get your school or your community involved in bringing music to kids. Whether it's doing, as they say, a musical instrument pegging zoo, or just donating musical instruments to a place that might need them. So, not just for kids also. I mean, it's Kids Music Day, but for seniors and the elderly as well, and bringing music to their lives. Music, I thoroughly believe, it changed my life. It's tremendously important to me. I hope it's important to you too. So thank you so much to Vincent James of Kids Music Day and Keep Music Alive. Very, very happy to have had him as a guest in the Daverhood today. Let me see his website, 2 different websites. There you go. VincentJames.com and kidsmusicday.org. Well, OMG, we've made it through the program. Thank you most of all to those of you who are listening, to my darling and adorable and wonderful wife, Joyce, who reminded me, of course, to bring the delicious Mayochup, tasty Mayochup. I wouldn't go as far as delicious, and then the not very delicious and really, really wretched jar of poo. Oh, that was fun. If you want to go back and see the archives, remember they're all at davesgoneby.com. So by sometime tomorrow, we should have this video up, and we should have the whole audio archives up of this program, of course, as well as all the other archives going back nearly 16 years. Next week, don't know if I'm going to do anything particularly special for our 16th anniversary, because I'm just so busy with other things. But we'll try and find a cool guest. We'll certainly have, hey, if nothing else, we're going to have part 2 of the Bill Cosby book, The Meanest Things to Say. We'll have Dave's Big Dictionary. We'll go inside Broadway. We'll have Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We'll have, did I mention the Dave's Big Dictionary? I think I just did. The Limerick. We always do stuff. Saturday Segues. You never know. You know some of the stuff you're going to get, but you never know everything you're going to get on an episode of Dave's Gone By. So as I leave you all, wah, until next week, let's play one more tune. What do I want to play? I had it written down somewhere. It's, yeah. Not a band that I really like particularly, but they do have a song that is very germane to this episode, which we have called Mayochup. Ladies and gentlemen, the Smashing Pumpkins, back in 1993, in their best-known album, really their only known album, Siamese Dream, had a song called Mayonnaise. And they even spelled it wrong. They spelled it with one N, which is infuriating to me. But even so, we're going to play a bit of the Smashing Pumpkins, ladies and gentlemen, in honor of the arrival of Mayochup in a grocery near you. So with that, my friends, I wish you a good week. I wish you delicious fry sauce and ketchup and Mayochup and lots of potatoing and mayonnaise and gone by.